Speaking less can be one of the most powerful things you do. Have you ever noticed how some people say a lot but don't really leave an impression? Meanwhile, others say just a few words, and those words stick with you for days. What if you could learn to speak in a way that grabs attention without shouting? What if your words could carry weight and meaning every time you open your mouth? This isn't about being quiet or shy. It's about choosing your words with care and using your voice to create real impact. Imagine feeling confident that what you say matters, that people listen because you speak with purpose, not just to fill the silence. In this audiobook, we'll explore how mastering the art of saying less can give you more influence, respect, and control in your conversations and life. Ready to discover this simple but powerful skill? Let's dive in. Chapter 1. Speak only when your words add real value. Most people talk far more than they need to. They speak to fill silence. They speak to gain attention. They speak to explain themselves, justify themselves, and prove themselves. But in doing so, they dilute their presence, lose the power of their voice, and often say things that would have been better left unsaid. There is strength in restraint, there is dignity in discipline, and there is unmatched power in choosing to speak only when your words add real value. This idea might feel unfamiliar in a world where people are constantly encouraged to share every thought, to broadcast every opinion, to always have something to say. But here's a truth that never fails. Your words mean more when you speak less, and they mean even more when they are spoken with purpose, clarity, and substance. When you speak from depth, you don't have to raise your voice or extend your sentences. The message carries itself. You gain respect, not by dominating the conversation, but by knowing when to contribute and when to hold your peace. Those who are always talking eventually become background noise. But those who speak with purpose stand out. They are heard, and more importantly, they are remembered. This chapter is about stepping into a new way of living, one where you don't use speech to fill space or control others, but instead to contribute something meaningful. It's about turning down the noise inside and outside so that you can recognize when it's actually time to speak and when it's best to stay silent. Speaking only when your words add real value means you respect the power of your voice. It means you understand that words can lift or damage, heal or provoke, solve or complicate. Every time you speak, you are using energy. You are placing a piece of yourself into the world. Wouldn't it be wise to make sure it counts? Most conversations today are transactional. People talk to be heard, not to understand. They respond to react, not to connect. And as a result, relationships weaken, misunderstandings grow, and people walk away feeling more empty than full. But when someone speaks with depth, when their words are shaped by thought, empathy, and intention, something shifts. That person becomes a source of clarity in a chaotic world. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to say everything to be understood. The strongest presence in the room is often the one who listens more than they speak. Their silence demands attention, and when they finally do speak, the room listens, not out of fear but out of respect. This is not about withholding your truth or walking on eggshells. It's about refining the quality of your communication so that your truth comes out with strength, not noise. When you speak only when necessary, your words develop weight. You build credibility over time. People start to notice that when you open your mouth, something worth hearing comes out. The beauty of saying less is that it requires a disciplined mind. It forces you to think, to filter, to measure your emotions and your impulses. You learn to ask yourself, does what I'm about to say help this moment? Will it solve a problem, build a bridge, create clarity? Or am I just trying to be right, be heard, be seen? Most of the time, it's the latter, and most of the time, silence would serve better. The less you speak without value, the more people listen when you do. This is not theory, this is something you can test. Start trimming your words in everyday conversations. Remove the need to explain yourself. Resist the urge to fill pauses. Observe how others respond. Over time, they will begin to notice your speech is rooted in thought, and your silence is not absence, but power. There is strength in choosing your words with care. People may not remember what you said, but they will remember how your words made them feel. They will remember the moments you made them think, feel understood, or challenged them to see a better way. And that doesn't come from speaking more. It comes from speaking better. Think about the most powerful moments in your life. Were they filled with long speeches and endless explanations, or were they quiet, intentional, and clear? Most turning points happen in silence, or with just a few words. That's because clarity doesn't need decoration. Truth doesn't need embellishment. When something is real, it speaks for itself. The discipline to speak less and say more begins with self-awareness. You have to observe your patterns. Notice when you're speaking from emotion, from habit, from insecurity. Learn to pause, learn to breathe, learn to sit with your thoughts before you release them into the world. This simple pause can change everything. It creates space for wisdom to catch up to your feelings. It allows you to choose the high road instead of the fast one. You also need to stop speaking just to be liked or to fill awkwardness. Your value doesn't come from your volume. It comes from your character, your presence, your consistency. If you're always talking, people will tune you out. But if you talk less and make it count, people will tune in, not just with their ears, but with their minds. So what does it look like to apply this daily? Start by creating a rule for yourself. For example, if I'm not solving, helping, building, or clarifying, I don't speak. This simple filter will force you to think before you speak. It will cut out gossip, complaints, justifications, and defensiveness. It will help you become someone others trust with their attention. In conversations, instead of trying to impress, focus on understanding. Ask more questions. Listen without planning your next sentence. When you do speak, speak with direction. Remove the fluff. Get to the point. Use simple words. This doesn't make you less expressive. It makes you clearer. When dealing with conflict, avoid the urge to defend yourself endlessly. Most arguments spiral because people don't know when to stop. They want the last word. They want to be right. But often the real power is in walking away with dignity. Speak what needs to be spoken and then stop. Let silence hold the weight of what you said. In your professional life, practice brevity. Meetings, emails, and discussions don't need to be long to be effective. A short sentence with clarity will always be more valuable than a long paragraph of confusion. Respect people's time. Respect your own voice. The less you speak, the more people trust you mean what you say. With family and friends, be present. Speak when it adds love, wisdom, or clarity. You don't need to lecture or convince. Sometimes just saying, "I understand," carries more power than a 10-minute explanation. It shows emotional maturity. It shows that you're not attached to being right. You're committed to being real. And most importantly, speak with yourself less too. The constant chatter in your head, the mental debates, the running commentary. They drain your energy. Practice inner silence. Observe your thoughts without becoming them. Learn to sit in peace without needing to explain everything to yourself. This inner silence creates outer calm, and from that calm, your words will start to come from strength, not stress. If you master this one principle, to speak only when your words add value, you will transform how others see you. You will build a reputation of wisdom, of strength, of clarity. People will come to you not because you always have something to say, but because when you do speak, it matters. Every day you're given opportunities to either add noise or add value. Choose wisely, choose discipline, choose impact. The more you practice this, the more peace you will find in your relationships, the more respect you will earn in your work, and the more power you will hold within yourself. You don't need to say more to be heard. You need to say what matters. You don't need to speak often to be understood. You need to speak with purpose. That's the beauty of saying less. It's not silence for silence sake. It's clarity, strength, and intention in action. Speak like your words have weight, because they do. Use them to build, not to waste. Use them to uplift, not to distract. And always ask yourself, does this add value? If not, keep it. And when the time comes to speak, speak with purpose, speak with presence, and speak with power. That is how you create impact that lasts. Chapter 2. Choose silence over noise to build inner strength. Silence is not the absence of sound. It's the presence of control. It's the space where your thoughts can breathe and your strength can grow. In a world addicted to noise, choosing silence is an act of rebellion. It's a daily decision to rise above distractions and chaos and return to your center. Silence sharpens the mind, calms the nervous system, and builds the kind of inner strength that doesn't shout, but speaks with undeniable presence. We live in a time where constant noise is mistaken for importance. People fill their days with talking, scrolling, watching, reacting, and consuming endless streams of information that leave no room for clarity. But all that noise only distracts from what matters. It pulls you out of yourself and scatters your focus. The more external noise you tolerate, the harder it becomes to hear your own voice. And when you can't hear yourself, you lose connection with your deepest instincts, the ones that guide, protect, and strengthen you. Silence is a discipline, not a weakness. It is the deliberate choice to be still when everyone else is moving too fast. It is the refusal to speak just to be heard. It is the strength to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it with sound. That kind of silence builds a different kind of power. The kind that isn't loud but lasting. The kind that cannot be taken because it was built through patience, self-awareness, and restraint. When you choose silence over noise, you reclaim your attention. You become the one who decides what deserves space in your mind. Instead of letting the world push its urgency into your thoughts, you pause, filter, and observe. You don't respond to every opinion. You don't engage every impulse. You stop needing to comment on everything because you realize not everything needs your voice. That's freedom. The strongest people are not those who always speak their minds. They're the ones who can hold their tongue, manage their reactions, and stay anchored in chaos. Anyone can be loud. It takes wisdom to be quiet. It takes character to remain composed when provoked. It takes real maturity to listen more than you talk, to think before you reply, and to wait before you act. Silence gives you space to reflect. It gives you the gift of seeing clearly. In the noise, things feel urgent. In the silence, things become obvious. You realize what's worth your time and what's just background noise. You begin to separate what's necessary from what's emotional. And that separation is where your strength is built, not in reacting, but in responding from a calm and grounded place. There's also an emotional silence that matters just as much. The silence you choose when your ego wants to lash out, when your insecurity wants to explain itself, when your anger wants to speak. That kind of silence doesn't mean suppression, it means self-control. It means choosing growth over gratification. It means staying still long enough to let the emotion pass so the truth can rise. Every moment you choose silence over noise, you're training your mind to be still under pressure. You're teaching yourself how to be deliberate, not impulsive. And that training doesn't show on the outside, but it builds an internal foundation that nothing external can shake. You become someone who doesn't get rattled by chaos, who doesn't get pulled by every distraction, who doesn't let the energy of others control your own. Silence also deepens your self-knowledge. When you spend time in quiet, you start to notice patterns you'd otherwise ignore. You hear your fears without distraction. You face your desires without distortion. And in doing so, you learn who you really are, not the version you perform, but the version that remains when the world stops watching. That's the version with strength. That's the version with direction. Noise always demands your attention. Silence waits for your decision. And the more you choose it, the more powerful it becomes. It creates room for vision. It clears the mental fog. It allows you to focus fully on what needs to be done, without getting trapped in what everyone else is doing. This isn't about isolating yourself or never speaking. It's about being intentional. You speak when it's necessary. You express yourself when it's aligned. But you stop wasting energy on the need to always be involved, always be noticed, always be heard. You start to value peace over performance. And in that shift, you become more in control of your life. In conversations, silence is a tool, not a gap. It gives you leverage. It gives you power. People often reveal more in your silence than they do in your questions. When you pause, when you give space, others fill it. You learn more. You observe more. You see things others miss because they're too busy preparing their next sentence. You stop speaking just to avoid discomfort and start observing what that discomfort is teaching you. Even in relationships, silence can be healing. You don't always have to respond. You don't always have to argue. You don't always have to explain yourself. Sometimes silence speaks louder than defense. Sometimes the greatest respect you can offer is presence without performance. When you give someone your silence, you're giving them your full attention, your calm energy, your undivided presence. That's rare, that's powerful. Your strength grows in silence because you're forced to sit with the truth. No distractions, no performance, just raw honesty. And while that might feel uncomfortable, it's the only place real growth begins. Growth doesn't happen when you're constantly distracted. It happens when you slow down enough to notice what needs work, where you've been lying to yourself, what you've been avoiding. And once you get used to that silence, once you realize it's not empty but full of wisdom, you start to crave it. You start to design your day around it. You carve out moments where you unplug, disconnect, and realign. You stop letting the world rush you. You stop being available to everything and everyone, because you know your strength is built in those moments when it's just you, your thoughts, and the stillness in between. Silence teaches you presence. It teaches you how to sit with now. Most people are living in the past or predicting the future, talking about what was or worrying about what will be. But silence grounds you in the present. It teaches you to feel your breath, to notice your environment, to engage with what's in front of you fully. And from that presence, better decisions are made. From that presence, better actions follow. In your daily life, begin to create pockets of intentional silence. Wake up and resist the urge to immediately check your phone. Sit with yourself, feel your thoughts, notice the resistance, and let it be. Before you go to bed, instead of drowning yourself in screens, sit in quiet reflection. Review your day. Notice where you lost control. Notice where you showed strength. Let the silence integrate those lessons. Practice silence during moments of stress. When someone provokes you, instead of replying immediately, breathe, observe the tension. Hold space. You'll often find that what felt urgent wasn't, that what felt offensive didn't deserve your energy, that what needed to be said could have waited or didn't need to be said at all. In work, build silent focus sessions. No noise, no interruptions, just you and the task. You'll be amazed how much more you can get done when the distractions are removed. You'll notice how sharp your thinking becomes, how focused your actions get. Silence isn't unproductive. It's the most productive space you can create for yourself. In your mental habits, practice silence with your inner critic. You don't have to believe every thought. You don't have to argue with yourself. Let the noise pass. Don't chase it. Don't engage it. Just return to stillness. That ability to return to silence within is a superpower, because no matter what's happening outside, you can always come back to yourself. The world will always try to pull you into its noise, but your power lies in your refusal, in your decision to create a different rhythm, a rhythm built on purpose, not pressure, on presence, not performance. The more you choose silence, the more you hear what matters. The more you choose silence, the less power the outside world has over your state of mind. True confidence doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't need to dominate conversations or be the center of attention. It knows that silence, when used wisely, says everything. That silence, when aligned with purpose, holds more weight than 1,000 words. That silence, when rooted in presence, is the most powerful sound of all. Your life will not change just because you add more. Sometimes it changes when you remove. Remove the noise, remove the excess, remove the compulsion to always fill the air. In that removal, you find yourself. In that reduction, you discover your strength. And in that silence, you begin to hear the voice that matters most, your own grounded, calm, unshaken. Every day, you are faced with a choice: react or reflect, speak or stay still, add to the noise or return to silence. Choose the latter, not because it's easy, but because it's where your real strength lives. Not in proving, not in pleasing, not in performing, but in staying rooted when the world spins. Choose silence. Let it steady your mind. Let it strengthen your discipline. Let it sharpen your focus. Let it guide your next move, not out of impulse, but out of intention. That's how inner strength is built. That's how you become unshakable in a noisy world. Not by matching the chaos, but by mastering the calm. Chapter 3. Pause before you speak to gain full control. The moment before you speak is the moment you take back your power. In that space, you are no longer a slave to impulse, ego, or emotion. You become someone who acts with clarity instead of reacting from confusion. Most people never pause. They let their mouths move faster than their minds. They speak from insecurity, frustration, or a temporary feeling that passes, leaving behind permanent damage. But when you learn to pause, you give yourself a gift that few ever master: the ability to stay in control when it matters most. Control doesn't begin with what you say. It begins with what you choose not to say. It's the ability to hold your tongue when every part of you wants to be heard. It's the strength to absorb pressure without releasing it through words. It's the wisdom to realize that your silence isn't weakness, it's precision. Words carry weight, and once they leave your mouth, you can't get them back. That's why the pause is sacred. It's the space where you measure your intent, examine your emotions, and decide your direction. When you pause before you speak, you stop letting emotion dictate your communication. You step back and observe. What am I really feeling? Why am I tempted to say this? What will it accomplish? Is this aligned with who I am, or is it just a reflex? These questions, asked in a moment of stillness, can prevent years of regret. They can stop a fight before it starts. They can keep your integrity intact. They can protect your relationships, your reputation, your peace. Pausing gives you the ability to respond, not react. And there's a massive difference between the two. A reaction is raw, it's emotional, unfiltered, and often destructive. A response is deliberate. It's calculated, measured, and rooted in awareness. You don't need to speak quickly to be strong. Real strength is found in restraint. When you pause, you aren't losing your voice. You're sharpening it. You're choosing the best words, not just the first ones. In heated moments, the pause becomes your armor. It shields you from saying something you'll wish you could erase. It protects your image from being defined by one impulsive outburst. And most importantly, it keeps your energy from being hijacked by negativity. You'll never regret taking a breath, even when the pressure is high, but you'll regret speaking without it. The habit of pausing doesn't come naturally. It's trained, it's built through daily awareness. Every conversation becomes a chance to practice. Every disagreement becomes a test. And with each repetition, you become more composed, more intentional, more powerful. You begin to understand the rhythm of your emotions. You notice when your pulse quickens, when your breath shortens, when your mind races. And instead of letting that wave carry you away, you stand still. You wait. You choose. This control transforms not just your communication, but your entire presence. People notice, they feel it. They sense that you're not easily provoked, that you don't need to dominate the conversation, that you're thinking deeply before responding. That presence carries more weight than volume. It demands respect without ever needing to ask for it. Because true respect comes from self-control, not self-promotion. When you pause, you begin to speak with precision. Your words land where they need to. Your message becomes clearer. You stop repeating yourself. You stop trying to convince. You simply state the truth, calmly and directly. And because you're not coming from an emotional spiral, your message is stronger. People listen, not because you shout, but because you've said something that came from reflection, not reaction. The world moves fast. People are rushed. They interrupt. They flirt. They fill space just to avoid discomfort. But not you. You understand that silence before speech is strength. You allow yourself that one extra breath. That moment of pause creates a gap between emotion and expression, and in that gap, you gain control. Think about the last time you regretted saying something. Chances are you didn't pause. You spoke from a place of tension, anger, fear, or ego. You said something to defend yourself, to prove a point, or to feel powerful in the moment. But later, it didn't feel like strength. It felt like a loss of control. Now imagine if you had paused, just one breath, just 1 second. How would that moment have changed? The pause doesn't just change conversations, it changes your self-image. Every time you choose to hold back, you show yourself that you are not your emotions. You prove to yourself that you are in charge, that you have discipline, that you don't need to win arguments, you need to protect your peace. And every time you do that, you build a reputation with yourself. One of maturity, one of calm, one of consistency. People often think the pause is about avoiding conflict. It's not. It's about engaging with clarity. You're not stepping back out of fear. You're stepping back to see the full picture. You're not avoiding confrontation. You're avoiding chaos. There's a big difference. And in that difference lies your power. You learn that not every situation requires your immediate opinion, that not every insult deserves your attention, that not every argument is worth your energy. The pause teaches you what to say, but more importantly, what not to say. Because wisdom isn't about saying more, it's about saying what matters. It's about speaking with impact, not frequency. In leadership, the pause builds trust. People follow those who remain calm under pressure. They trust those who don't let their mouths move faster than their thoughts. In relationships, the pause builds safety. When you pause, you give others space to feel heard. You don't interrupt. You don't overpower. You create a dynamic where listening is just as valuable as speaking. And in your relationship with yourself, the pause creates peace. You stop spiraling. You stop feeding the voice that always needs to respond, always needs to win, always needs to be right. You create space for new thoughts, for more grounded perspectives. You stop fueling emotional reactions with more emotional words. You start guiding your mind towards stability. This isn't about being robotic or emotionless. It's about emotional intelligence. It's about recognizing when your emotions are clouding your thinking and giving yourself a moment to let the fog clear. It's about respecting the impact of your words enough to slow them down, because once spoken they live. And whether they heal or hurt depends on whether you paused long enough to decide. As you train yourself to pause, your thoughts become more organized. Your reactions become more mature. You start filtering your language, not to be polite, but to be purposeful. You stop giving others easy access to your emotional triggers. You stop being predictable, and in that unpredictability, you gain leverage. No one can manipulate you when you don't take the bait. No one can control your state when you hold your center. And in those moments where the temptation is strongest, when someone disrespects you, challenges you, criticizes you, that pause is your battlefield. You can either let them pull you down, or you can rise by staying composed. That pause is where character is revealed. Not in the words that follow, but in the restraint that precedes them. Let your pause be your power. Let it be the proof that you are not a slave to the moment. That you can hold tension without exploding. That you can hold your position without speaking. That you can remain unshaken while the world around you reacts. That's control. That's strength. The longer you practice this, the more natural it becomes. It no longer feels like holding back. It feels like holding power, and that power is yours. No one can give it to you, no one can take it. It's built moment by moment, breath by breath, decision by decision. It's built every time you pause before you speak, and remember who you are and what you stand for. The pause is where mastery lives. Mastery of thought, mastery of emotion, mastery of self. Most people will never experience that level of control because they never create space for it. They confuse speed with strength. But you know better. You've tasted the peace that comes with clarity. You've seen how much more effective you are when you're not speaking from ego. You've felt the freedom that comes from not needing to say the first thing that enters your mind. So keep pausing. Not once, not occasionally, but always. Before the conversation, before the reply, before the decision, let that moment remind you of your strength. Let that space shape your response. And let your words reflect not your emotions but your values, your wisdom, your truth. You don't need to speak often. You need to speak intentionally. And to do that, you must pause. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because that's where your power is proven. Not in what you say, but in what you choose not to say. Chapter 4. Say what matters, and leave the rest behind. There is an immense power in simplicity. To say what matters and leave the rest behind is to clear the noise that clouds your mind and distracts your spirit. Life bombards you with endless information, opinions, and distractions, tempting you to fill every moment with words and thoughts that ultimately don't serve your true purpose. Learning to sift through this endless chatter and speak only what holds real value transforms your presence, your relationships, and your own peace. When you say what truly matters, you cut through the clutter that often dilutes meaning. It's not about speaking less for the sake of silence. It's about speaking less so that what you do say has weight and clarity. People are tired of filler. They're exhausted by conversations that circle without direction. They crave honesty, brevity, and depth. You don't need to say everything to make an impact. You only need to say what carries truth, intention, and relevance. Choosing to say what matters is a radical act of focus. It demands that you understand yourself deeply enough to recognize which thoughts deserve voice and which ones are distractions. It requires courage to leave behind the urge to explain everything, justify yourself, or prove your worth through verbosity. In this choice, you protect your energy. You shield your mind from unnecessary complexity. You respect the time and attention of those who listen. There's freedom in letting go of what doesn't serve your message. So often, people believe they must say it all, every detail, every excuse, every nuance. But this abundance often muddies the waters. It buries your true point under a pile of unnecessary words. When you embrace restraint, your message sharpens. It becomes more compelling because it's concise and deliberate. The discipline of focusing your speech mirrors the discipline needed to live a purposeful life. Just as you remove clutter from your surroundings to create space for growth, you remove superfluous words to create space for impact. Your communication becomes a tool for building bridges, inspiring action, and creating understanding, not a filler to silence discomfort or mask insecurity. In relationships, this clarity transforms the way you connect. When you choose to speak only what matters, you communicate respect and attentiveness. You show others that you value their time and presence. This doesn't mean you avoid vulnerability or emotion. On the contrary, it means you express these with intention. Your emotions become messages, not noise. Your vulnerability becomes strength, not weakness. By leaving the rest behind, you also guard yourself against unnecessary conflict. Many arguments escalate because people clutter their points with defensiveness and distractions. When you stick to the core truth, you avoid tangents that lead nowhere. You keep the conversation grounded and focused. This approach diffuses tension and paves the way for resolution and understanding. Your mind benefits profoundly from this practice. The habit of sorting what deserves your attention and what doesn't fosters mental clarity. It trains you to recognize which thoughts to entertain and which to release. You begin to distinguish between the essential and the trivial. This mental discipline spills over into other areas of life, improving decision-making, focus, and emotional resilience. Learning to say what matters also means becoming comfortable with silence. Not every thought demands expression. Some truths are powerful because they are left unsaid. This silence is not emptiness. It's a container for meaning. It allows your audience to absorb your words fully without distraction. It invites reflection and deeper understanding. In many ways, silence is the most eloquent statement you can make. The clarity of your speech reflects the clarity of your mind. When your thoughts are organized, your words follow naturally. But when your mind is cluttered, your speech becomes scattered. Saying what matters requires you to cultivate this inner order first. It demands that you slow down, reflect, and prioritize. This practice builds confidence because your words are rooted in conviction rather than impulse. This approach also strengthens your authenticity. When you speak only what matters, you stop performing for others. You shed the need to impress, explain, or justify. Your words become an honest reflection of your beliefs and values. People sense this authenticity and respond to it. It builds trust and deepens connection. You become someone whose words carry integrity, not just noise. In professional settings, this skill becomes invaluable. Clear, purposeful communication saves time and prevents misunderstandings. It commands attention and influences decisions. Leaders who master this art inspire confidence because they speak with clarity and intention. They don't overwhelm with unnecessary details, but provide enough to guide, inform, and motivate. Practicing this discipline means sometimes saying no to tangents and distractions. It means resisting the temptation to fill silence with irrelevant chatter. It means prioritizing your message over your need to be heard constantly. This restraint isn't easy. It requires patience and self-awareness. But the rewards are profound. You gain respect, credibility, and a sense of calm control over your interactions. Saying what matters is also about timing. Even the most important words lose power if spoken at the wrong moment. By focusing on what truly counts, you learn to recognize the right time and place to speak. This awareness enhances your impact. You become a person who not only says meaningful things, but says them when they will be most effective. There's a subtle but powerful difference between being talkative and being meaningful. The former often stems from insecurity or a need for validation. The latter comes from self-assurance and clarity of purpose. When you speak with meaning, you invite others to listen. You create space for dialogue rather than monologue. Your words become invitations to understanding, not demands for attention. You might wonder how to start this practice in a world that encourages noise. Begin by observing your conversations. Notice when you tend to over-explain or drift off topic. Catch yourself before filling silence with unnecessary words. Practice distilling your thoughts to their essence. Ask yourself, what is the core message here? What do I want the other person to understand or feel? What can I leave out? This approach transforms not only your speech, but also your thinking. By habitually focusing on essentials, you train your mind to prioritize what truly matters. You become less reactive to distractions and more centered in your values. This focus creates a feedback loop. Clearer thinking leads to clearer speech, which in turn strengthens clearer thinking. Over time, this clarity in communication nurtures deeper self-respect. You recognize your own voice as a source of power rather than noise. You understand that your value is not in how much you say, but in what you say. This self-awareness fosters confidence and reduces anxiety around expressing yourself. You learn that your silence is as meaningful as your speech. Leaving behind what doesn't matter also means letting go of the need to control others through words. Many people use speech to manipulate, convince, or dominate. When you focus on what matters, you stop trying to control outcomes through excess communication. Instead, you offer your truth and allow others the space to respond authentically. This shift creates healthier, more respectful interactions. The beauty of saying what matters lies in its simplicity. It doesn't require eloquence or flair. It requires honesty, clarity, and courage. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Your words flow naturally and authentically. They resonate deeply because they come from a place of focused intention. This discipline frees you from the exhaustion of constant explanation and justification. It protects you from misunderstandings by minimizing confusion. It builds bridges rather than walls because your communication is transparent and straightforward. And it cultivates peace within, as you no longer feel the pressure to fill every silence with meaningless noise. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to practice this skill. Whether with strangers, friends, or colleagues, you can choose to speak with purpose. You can decide to leave behind what distracts or dilutes your message. This choice elevates your interactions and enhances your presence. You may face resistance, especially from those accustomed to chaotic or verbose communication. Some might interpret your brevity as aloofness or disinterest, but true listeners will appreciate the clarity and respect you bring. Your ability to communicate succinctly sets you apart and inspires others to do the same. In moments of conflict, this approach is particularly powerful. When emotions run high, it's tempting to unload every grievance or detail. But speaking only what matters cuts through tension. It prevents escalation. It invites resolution. Your focused words act like a calming force amid chaos. This practice also extends beyond speech to written communication. Emails, texts, and messages benefit from the same discipline. Clear, concise writing respects the reader's time and attention. It reflects professionalism and thoughtfulness. Whether in personal or professional contexts, saying what matters elevates your entire communication style. Ultimately, this way of speaking reflects a way of living. It's a commitment to clarity, purpose, and respect for yourself and others. It's a rejection of unnecessary complexity and distraction. It's a declaration that your time, energy, and words are valuable resources to be used wisely. When you say what matters and leave the rest behind, you reclaim your voice. You sharpen your influence. You deepen your connections. You cultivate peace and presence, and you step fully into the power of intentional communication. This skill is not just about talking less, it's about talking right. It is a foundation for inner strength and outward effectiveness that lasts a lifetime. Chapter 5. Listen deeply to understand, not to respond. Listening is a skill that most people believe they already possess, yet very few truly practice. To listen deeply means to immerse yourself fully in what the other person is saying without rushing to form your reply or judgment. This kind of listening requires you to quiet your own mind and shift your focus completely away from yourself and toward the other person. It is not a passive act, but an active, deliberate choice to understand someone else's perspective before considering your response. When you listen deeply, you don't just hear words, you absorb the emotions, intentions, and underlying meanings behind them. This kind of listening demands presence, your full attention, free from distraction or interruption. It requires patience and humility, recognizing that understanding another person's experience is more important than proving your point or defending your position. The impulse to respond quickly is natural, but pausing to fully absorb what is shared opens the door to true connection. Most conversations become battles of wills or contests to be heard. People listen not to understand but to reply. They wait for their turn to speak, often missing the true message being conveyed. This pattern limits understanding and creates barriers between people. It keeps conversations shallow and often leads to misunderstanding or conflict. When you shift from listening to respond toward listening to understand, the entire dynamic changes. To listen deeply, you must first let go of your own agenda. Your desire to explain, persuade, or correct can cloud your ability to truly receive what is being said. It's easy to fall into the trap of filtering someone else's words through your own biases and assumptions. But genuine listening requires setting aside those filters and opening yourself to the possibility that you don't have all the answers. It means suspending judgment and allowing space for new insights. This practice cultivates empathy. When you listen with the goal of understanding, you begin to see the world through another's eyes. You sense their struggles, hopes, and fears. You recognize the humanity beneath their words. This connection builds trust and deepens relationships. People feel heard, valued, and respected. They become more willing to share honestly and openly. Listening deeply also improves your own clarity. When you fully understand what someone else is communicating, your responses become more thoughtful and relevant. You avoid misunderstandings and the confusion that arises from half-heard or misinterpreted statements. This clarity fosters effective problem-solving and cooperation because you're engaging with the true issue, not just your reaction to it. Developing this skill takes practice. It involves training your mind to resist distractions and intrusive thoughts. It means practicing patience when conversations slow down or when others struggle to find the right words. Sometimes, deep listening requires you to listen beyond words, to notice tone, body language, and pauses. These non-verbal cues often carry more meaning than spoken language and reveal unspoken feelings. True listening is a gift you give both to others and to yourself. It frees you from the trap of constant reactivity and allows you to approach conversations with calm and intention. It strengthens your ability to stay present, reducing stress and frustration that come from misunderstandings or feeling unheard. By cultivating deep listening, you become more grounded and resilient. One of the most profound outcomes of listening deeply is that it shifts the power dynamic in communication. When you listen fully, you give others space to express themselves authentically. You relinquish control and instead foster collaboration and mutual respect. This approach is especially powerful in leadership and conflict resolution, where understanding all sides is essential to finding lasting solutions. Listening to understand also challenges your ego. It asks you to be comfortable not dominating the conversation or pushing your own agenda. Instead, you take a humble stance, acknowledging that every person has a unique story and perspective. This humility opens the door to growth because you are willing to learn and adapt based on what you hear. In relationships, this practice transforms the quality of connection. When your partner, friend, or colleague feels truly listened to, barriers break down. Walls built from assumptions, defensiveness, or miscommunication come down. The space that opens allows for vulnerability, healing, and deeper intimacy. You build bonds based on authenticity and mutual understanding rather than surface-level exchanges. Listening deeply also enhances your emotional intelligence. By tuning into others' feelings and needs, you become more adept at managing your own emotions and responses. You develop compassion not only for others, but also for yourself, recognizing that everyone is navigating their own challenges. This awareness helps you respond with kindness and patience, even in difficult situations. When you listen without the pressure to respond immediately, you create a pause that enriches the conversation. This pause allows both parties to reflect on what has been said and to respond with greater clarity. It breaks the cycle of reactive dialogue and replaces it with thoughtful exchange. Over time, this habit fosters communication that is not only more effective but also more meaningful. In professional settings, listening deeply is a cornerstone of successful teamwork and leadership. Leaders who listen with genuine intent earn respect and loyalty. They understand their team's strengths and struggles, allowing them to support growth and address challenges effectively. Colleagues who practice deep listening build trust and cooperation, leading to higher productivity and morale. This skill is also essential when dealing with conflict. Instead of escalating disagreements by pushing your point, deep listening allows you to hear the other side fully. You recognize the emotions and needs driving the conflict. This insight guides you towards solutions that honor everyone involved rather than fostering resentment or division. Cultivating this form of listening requires mindfulness. It asks you to be aware of your inner state and to bring your attention back whenever it wanders. This practice aligns with the principles of presence and focus found in many philosophical traditions. It connects you to the moment and to the people around you more deeply than casual conversation ever can. You can begin by simply slowing down. When someone speaks, resist the urge to interrupt or prepare your next statement. Instead, focus on their words, tone, and body language. If you don't understand something, ask clarifying questions rather than assuming. Reflect back what you hear to confirm your understanding. This approach shows respect and invites deeper dialogue. Deep listening also means embracing silence. Pauses in conversation are not empty. They are spaces where meaning can settle and grow. By resisting the need to fill silence, you create room for thoughtfulness and reflection. These moments often reveal insights that rushed conversations miss. Listening to understand invites a shift from being a passive receiver of information to an active participant in communication. It is a deliberate choice to prioritize connection over winning an argument or proving a point. This mindset transforms interactions from transactional exchanges into opportunities for growth and understanding. When practiced consistently, deep listening rewires your brain. You develop neural pathways that enhance attention, empathy, and emotional regulation. This neurological change supports lasting improvements in your ability to engage with others meaningfully and compassionately. The impact of listening deeply extends beyond personal interactions. It influences how you engage with the world at large. You become more attuned to the complexities of human experience, more patient with differing viewpoints, and more committed to understanding before judgment. This broadened perspective nurtures wisdom and humility. At its core, listening deeply is an act of love. It honors the speaker's dignity and acknowledges their humanity. It creates a sacred space where truth can be shared safely and openly. This space fosters healing, connection, and transformation for both speaker and listener. By choosing to listen to understand rather than respond, you break free from reactive cycles that drain your energy and distort communication. You develop a foundation for meaningful dialogue that supports mutual growth and respect. This skill enriches your relationships, sharpens your mind, and strengthens your character. Listening deeply invites you to be present, not just with others but with yourself. It teaches patience, humility, and attentiveness, qualities that nourish inner strength and clarity. As you cultivate this practice, you transform conversations into moments of genuine connection and insight. This way of listening challenges the modern pace of life, which often values speed and volume over depth and understanding. In a world rushing to speak and be heard, choosing to listen deeply is a revolutionary act. It slows the pace, quiets the mind, and opens the heart. The more you practice listening deeply, the more natural it becomes. It shifts from being a conscious effort to an instinctive part of your communication style. You become someone others seek out because of your presence and your ability to truly hear them. In this practice, you find that understanding precedes effective response. By fully grasping what someone communicates, you can tailor your words and actions in ways that are constructive and compassionate. This alignment between understanding and response enhances your influence and deepens your impact. Listening deeply also reveals your own patterns. You become aware of when you tend to interrupt, judge, or mentally drift. This self-awareness allows you to cultivate greater discipline and patience in your conversations. It encourages continuous growth in your communication skills. Ultimately, choosing to listen deeply enriches every facet of your life. It strengthens relationships, builds trust, nurtures empathy, and fosters peace. It is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence and personal mastery. By embracing this practice, you open the door to a deeper understanding of others and of yourself. This skill creates a ripple effect. When you listen deeply, you inspire others to do the same. You elevate the quality of communication within your family, community, and workplace. Your example sets a standard for meaningful engagement that transforms social dynamics. Listening deeply is not just a communication technique, it is a way of being. It aligns your actions with values of respect, presence, and compassion. This alignment cultivates authenticity and integrity in your interactions. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to practice this art. Whether with strangers, friends, or loved ones, you can choose to listen with the intent to understand fully. This choice transforms ordinary exchanges into powerful moments of connection. By listening deeply, you reclaim the true purpose of communication to bridge divides, foster understanding, and create shared meaning. This is the foundation of inner strength and emotional resilience. It is a practice that cultivates wisdom, patience, and profound human connection that lasts a lifetime. Chapter 6. Express your thoughts with calm and precision. Speaking with calm and precision is a skill that reflects maturity, clarity of thought, and emotional intelligence. When you express your ideas clearly and without agitation, your message carries more weight and is more likely to be received with respect and understanding. This approach not only improves communication, but also builds your confidence and authority. It shows that you have control over your thoughts and emotions, which is a sign of strength rather than weakness. Often people rush to speak without fully organizing their thoughts. This haste leads to rambling, confusion, or emotional outbursts that cloud the true intent of the message. When your mind is cluttered, your speech becomes cluttered too. The challenge is to cultivate the habit of speaking only when you have something meaningful to say, and then saying it in a way that is both calm and direct. This combination creates an impression of wisdom and steadiness that draws others in rather than pushing them away. Calmness in expression is not about suppressing your feelings or avoiding difficult topics. Rather, it is about approaching your communication with a steady and measured mindset. When you speak calmly, even intense emotions like frustration or disagreement become easier to convey without damaging relationships. Your tone becomes a tool of influence, not aggression. You demonstrate respect for both yourself and your listeners by maintaining composure, which encourages a reciprocal respect. Precision is equally essential. Precision means choosing your words carefully to convey exactly what you mean without unnecessary elaboration or ambiguity. It is the art of stripping away filler, exaggeration, or vagueness so that your message is crisp and easy to understand. This clarity reduces the risk of misunderstandings and helps others grasp your perspective quickly. When your communication is precise, you show respect for your listeners' time and attention, which builds trust. Developing calm and precise expression begins with awareness. Before speaking, pause to collect your thoughts. Ask yourself what the core message is that you want to deliver. What outcome do you hope to achieve through your words? Focusing on these questions prevents you from wandering into unrelated topics or emotional tangents. This discipline also helps you avoid reacting impulsively or defensively, which often leads to regretful statements. Listening is closely connected to how you express yourself. When you listen carefully to others, you gain a better understanding of the context and nuances of the conversation. This insight allows you to tailor your words thoughtfully. It also helps you respond in a way that addresses concerns directly, rather than going off topic or speaking past each other. The result is a dialogue that flows with mutual understanding and purpose. Controlling your breathing is a practical technique that supports calm expression. When people get nervous or agitated, their breathing becomes shallow and rapid, which fuels anxiety and makes speech less coherent. Taking slow, deep breaths helps regulate your nervous system and centers your mind. This physiological control reflects in your voice, making it steady and clear. Practice this habit regularly, especially before important conversations or presentations. Vocabulary matters as well. Using simple, straightforward words often communicates more effectively than trying to impress with complex language. Precision doesn't mean using big words, it means using the right words. Avoid jargon or complicated phrases that might confuse your audience. The goal is to be understood, not to show off. When you speak simply and clearly, you invite connection rather than creating distance. Non-verbal cues play a significant role in how your words are received. Your posture, facial expressions, and eye contact reinforce the calmness of your speech. When you maintain open and relaxed body language, you signal that you are confident and approachable. This physical presence supports your verbal message and helps build rapport with others. Conversely, fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, or tense muscles can undermine your calmness even if your words are measured. Another key element is pacing. Speaking too quickly often conveys nervousness or impatience, which can distract from the message. Slowing down your speech allows your listeners time to absorb and reflect on your words. It also gives you the chance to monitor your tone and adjust if you notice yourself becoming tense or hurried. Controlled pacing is a sign of confidence and self-control. Silence is a powerful tool in communication. Pausing after making a point gives your words space to resonate. It invites others to process what you've said and encourages thoughtful responses. Many people rush to fill silence out of discomfort, but learning to embrace quiet moments enhances your presence and impact. It demonstrates that you are comfortable with the conversation and confident in your message. Preparation can also help you speak with calm and precision. Before entering situations where you need to communicate clearly, whether meetings, interviews, or difficult discussions, take time to plan what you want to say. Outline your main points and anticipate possible questions or objections. This groundwork reduces anxiety and allows you to deliver your message smoothly and confidently. Managing emotions is crucial for maintaining calmness. Strong feelings are natural and valid, but when they overwhelm you, they distort your communication. Develop strategies to recognize and regulate your emotional responses. This might include stepping back mentally before responding, using grounding techniques, or reframing the situation to reduce tension. Emotional regulation protects your ability to speak clearly and maintain positive relationships. Practice also deepens this skill. Regularly engage in conversations where you consciously focus on calm and precise expression. Reflect afterward on what worked and what could improve. Over time, this mindful communication becomes automatic, and you naturally express yourself with greater clarity and composure in all situations. Cultivating calm and precise speech enhances your credibility. People trust those who communicate clearly and thoughtfully. This trust opens doors professionally and personally. When your words are measured, others listen more intently and are more receptive to your ideas. You create an environment where dialogue is productive rather than confrontational. This approach to communication also reduces misunderstandings. Many conflicts arise from miscommunication or unclear expression. When you articulate your thoughts precisely and calmly, you minimize the chances of your message being distorted. This clarity fosters smoother interactions and helps avoid unnecessary disputes. Speaking with calm and precision reflects self-respect. It shows that you value your thoughts enough to express them well, and that you respect others enough to speak in a way that is accessible and considerate. This mutual respect forms the foundation of healthy, meaningful communication. When challenges arise, calm and precise communication enables you to navigate them with grace. Difficult conversations often trigger defensiveness or agitation, but if you maintain your composure and focus on clarity, you create a space for solutions rather than escalation. This demeanor invites collaboration and problem solving. In leadership, this skill is indispensable. Leaders who communicate calmly and clearly inspire confidence and loyalty. They set a tone of professionalism and thoughtfulness that permeates the entire organization. Their messages are understood and acted upon, reducing confusion and increasing effectiveness. In personal relationships, calm and precise expression deepens connection. It helps avoid unnecessary arguments and promotes understanding. When you communicate this way, you model emotional maturity and encourage others to do the same. This mutual pattern strengthens bonds and nurtures trust. Technology has changed the way we communicate, but the need for calm and precision remains. Whether in emails, texts, or video calls, thoughtful expression cuts through noise and distraction. Being deliberate in your words ensures your message is heard clearly even in digital formats. This form of communication aligns with the principles of mindfulness. It requires you to be present with your thoughts and aware of how you convey them. This awareness helps you avoid reactive or careless speech, and instead choose words that reflect your true intentions. Speaking with calm and precision is not about perfection. Mistakes happen, but your commitment to thoughtful expression means you recover quickly and learn from the experience. This resilience in communication strengthens your confidence over time. Ultimately, the ability to express your thoughts calmly and precisely empowers you to take control of your narrative. You become an architect of your interactions rather than a victim of misunderstandings or emotional reactivity. This empowerment fuels personal growth and success. By honing this skill, you cultivate a voice that commands attention through clarity and steadiness rather than volume or force. You build a reputation as someone who communicates with integrity and wisdom. This skill transforms everyday conversations into opportunities for connection and influence. It allows you to articulate your ideas in a way that resonates deeply with others, fostering collaboration and respect. The practice of calm and precise expression deepens your self-awareness. It invites you to consider not only what you say, but how you say it and why. This reflection nurtures greater authenticity and intentionality in your communication. Each interaction becomes a chance to practice patience and clarity, which in turn shapes your character. Over time, you become a person known for thoughtful speech and balanced presence. Speaking calmly and precisely is a lifelong journey. It requires ongoing attention and commitment. Yet the rewards, stronger relationships, greater influence, and inner peace are well worth the effort. Embrace this skill as a vital tool for navigating life's complexities. With calm and precision, your words become instruments of understanding, connection, and positive change. This way of expression honors both your voice and those of others. It invites meaningful dialogue and builds bridges rather than walls. It is a powerful foundation for leadership, friendship, and personal fulfillment. As you grow in this practice, you discover that calmness and clarity are not just qualities of speech, but reflections of inner strength. They reveal a mind at peace with itself and open to the world. With each thoughtful word, you prove to yourself that you can communicate with purpose and grace, no matter the circumstances. This mastery transforms your life and those around you in profound ways. Chapter 7. Eliminate filler words to sound more confident. Every time you speak, your words carry the power to influence how others perceive you. One of the most common but overlooked habits that undermine that power is the use of filler words. Words like, like, and so often slip into conversations without thought, filling silence but doing little to add meaning. These filler words dilute your message, distract listeners, and create an impression of uncertainty or nervousness. Eliminating these verbal crutches can dramatically elevate the confidence and clarity of your speech. Filler words function as placeholders while your brain scrambles to find the right words. They are like safety nets, giving your mind a moment to catch up. However, relying on them too often makes your speech appear hesitant and less authoritative. People tend to associate frequent fillers with lack of preparation, insecurity, or even dishonesty. When you remove these fillers, your voice sounds sharper, more deliberate, and commands attention. The first step to reducing fillers is becoming aware of how often and in what situations you use them. Most people don't realize how much they pepper their speech with ums and likes until they consciously listen for it. Recording yourself during conversations, meetings, or presentations can be eye-opening. Hearing your own voice helps identify patterns. Perhaps you insert fillers when nervous, unsure, or trying to buy time to think. Awareness alone is not enough. You must actively practice replacing fillers with silence or meaningful pauses. Silence feels uncomfortable at first, but it's a powerful tool. Instead of rushing to fill every gap, give your listeners space to absorb what you just said. Pausing shows that you're thoughtful and in control of your speech. It also gives you time to organize your next thought clearly rather than scrambling for words. Another key is preparation. The more familiar you are with your message or topic, the less your brain needs to stall. Deep knowledge builds confidence, reducing the urge to fill silence with meaningless sounds. When you know your material well, your words flow naturally and precisely. Preparation transforms your speech from a guessing game into a clear, intentional conversation. Developing a habit of thinking before you speak also helps cut fillers. Many people speak impulsively, trying to answer or contribute without fully processing their ideas. Slowing down your internal dialogue allows you to choose your words carefully. This deliberate approach reduces the need for filler words because you're not scrambling to find your point after starting to talk. Practice exercises are invaluable for this transformation. Simple techniques such as reading aloud, practicing speeches, or having conversations with focused attention on avoiding fillers can make a big difference. Try reading a paragraph from a book or article without using any filler words. If you catch yourself slipping, pause and restart the sentence. Over time, this rewires your brain to favor clear, concise expression. In professional settings, the elimination of filler words signals preparedness and respect for your audience. When you speak with precision, colleagues and clients perceive you as trustworthy and competent. This perception can open doors to leadership roles, promotions, and meaningful collaborations. Your words become tools of influence rather than background noise. In social settings, clear speech strengthens your presence and builds rapport. People listen more attentively when your message is delivered smoothly and confidently. Your ideas carry more weight, and your conversations become more engaging. This effect enhances your relationships by fostering mutual respect and deeper connection. It's important to remember that eliminating fillers doesn't mean you have to sound robotic or rehearsed. Natural speech includes pauses, inflections, and variations in tone. The goal is not to remove personality, but to remove distractions. When you speak cleanly, your authentic voice shines through more powerfully. The journey to cut filler words requires patience and persistence. Old habits don't vanish overnight. Expect some setbacks, but view each conversation as an opportunity to improve. Celebrate small wins when you catch yourself avoiding fillers or when others comment on your clear communication. Building this skill also improves your overall mental clarity. As you learn to organize thoughts before speaking, your thinking becomes sharper and more structured. This clarity spills into writing, decision-making, and problem-solving. Clear speech and clear thinking are inseparable partners. Visualizing yourself speaking confidently without fillers can accelerate your progress. Picture how you want to sound in important conversations and mentally rehearse that version of yourself. Visualization primes your brain to perform better when the moment arrives. Additionally, adopting a mindset that values quality over quantity in speech helps. Speaking less but with more impact beats speaking a lot with unclear or filler-laden sentences. When you focus on delivering meaningful content, fillers naturally diminish because every word counts. Mindfulness practices also support this goal. Being fully present during conversations means you catch filler words before they slip out. Mindfulness encourages listening with intention and responding with care rather than reflex. This presence enhances all aspects of communication. Your breathing pattern affects how easily fillers creep in. Shallow or erratic breathing often accompanies nervousness, triggering more fillers. Practicing steady, deep breaths calms your nervous system and supports smooth speech. When your body is relaxed, your mind follows, reducing the need for verbal crutches. In group conversations, fillers can multiply as people imitate each other's speech patterns. Breaking this cycle by speaking cleanly sets a positive example. Your clarity can raise the overall level of communication in the group, benefiting everyone involved. When public speaking, eliminating fillers becomes even more critical. Audiences expect speakers to be clear and engaging. Frequent fillers can distract and lessen your credibility. Practicing extensively and using techniques like pausing or emphasizing key points helps maintain control over your speech. Using notes or prompts can guide your speech and reduce fillers, but be cautious not to read mechanically. Use your notes as anchors, not scripts. This balance keeps your speech natural and confident. Remember that perfection is not the goal. Even experienced speakers sometimes use filler words. What matters is your commitment to minimizing them and improving continually. Each step toward clearer speech builds your confidence exponentially. The benefits extend beyond speaking. Writing also improves when you learn to eliminate filler words. Clear writing mirrors clear thinking, and vice versa. Mastering this skill enhances your ability to communicate effectively in all formats. Listening to skilled speakers or watching speeches without fillers can provide valuable models. Notice how they use pauses, emphasize points, and maintain rhythm. Emulating these techniques in your own speech accelerates improvement. Seeking feedback from trusted friends or mentors can also help. They can gently point out when fillers occur and encourage your progress. External perspectives provide accountability and motivation. In moments of stress or surprise, fillers tend to increase. Developing strategies to manage anxiety and stay composed supports your goal. Techniques such as grounding, visualization, and preparation reduce nervous energy that fuels fillers. Adopting a growth mindset transforms this challenge into an opportunity. Each conversation is practice, each mistake a lesson. Over time, your ability to speak confidently without fillers becomes second nature. Eliminating filler words connects deeply with respect for yourself and your audience. It honors the time and attention of others by delivering clear, purposeful communication. This respect fosters stronger connections and opens doors to greater influence. Your voice becomes a tool for impact rather than a source of distraction. When you speak without fillers, you command the room not by volume but by clarity and presence. People listen because they want to, not because they have to. This skill builds inner confidence that extends beyond speaking. Knowing you can express yourself clearly under pressure reinforces self-trust. That trust encourages you to take on challenges and seize opportunities without hesitation. Even in casual conversations, the absence of fillers elevates your presence. You project calm assurance and thoughtful engagement. People sense your authenticity and are drawn to your steady energy. Practice this habit in low-stakes environments first. Gradually increase the difficulty by applying it in meetings, presentations, or social gatherings. Each successful interaction strengthens your skill and confidence. Over time, your speech will become a reflection of your disciplined mind. Clear, confident communication signals that you value your ideas and those of others. This mutual respect enhances every relationship. You will find that eliminating fillers not only improves how others hear you but also how you hear yourself. Your inner dialogue becomes clearer and more empowering. This clarity reshapes your mindset and daily interactions. This transformation encourages you to be more intentional with your words overall. You begin to weigh what you say and how it impacts others. This awareness cultivates empathy and connection. As your speech gains strength, you may notice new opportunities emerging. People seek your input, trust your judgment, and respect your presence. Your voice becomes an asset in both personal and professional arenas. The process of shedding filler words is part of a broader journey toward mastery of self-expression. It demands focus, self-compassion, and steady effort. The payoff is a voice that resonates with power, authenticity, and clarity. This mastery influences not only how you speak, but who you become. It shapes your identity as someone committed to growth, excellence, and meaningful connection. Your words become a force for good in your life and the lives of others. With each conversation free of fillers, you prove to yourself that you can communicate with confidence and purpose. This proof fuels further growth, unlocking new levels of self-assurance and impact. By eliminating filler words, you create space for your true voice to emerge, clear, strong, and undeniable. This voice is your most valuable tool for proving yourself to yourself every single day. Chapter 8. Communicate your message with fewer strong words. When we think about communicating a message effectively, the natural instinct is often to make it bold, loud, and overwhelming. We assume that strong words, superlatives, emphatic phrases, and dramatic assertions will make our point stand out and leave a lasting impression. Yet, paradoxically, overusing forceful language can actually weaken the impact of what we say. A message saturated with strong words can feel aggressive, exaggerated, or even insincere. Communicating with fewer strong words invites subtlety, precision, and a deeper connection with your audience. The essence of powerful communication lies not in bombarding listeners with intensity, but in crafting your message with balance and restraint. When you rely less on strong words, you create space for your ideas to breathe and for your listeners to engage thoughtfully. This approach requires confidence in the value of your message itself, not just the volume or boldness with which it is delivered. One of the first realizations you come to is that less is often more. By reducing the density of strong words, your communication gains clarity. The audience is not distracted or overwhelmed by an endless stream of emphasis, but guided gently to the core of your point. A calm, measured tone invites reflection rather than resistance. People are more open to ideas presented with composure than those shouted or forced upon them. Strong words can sometimes signal desperation, as if trying too hard to convince or dominate. When you pare down your language, you reveal the true strength of your ideas. You show that your message stands on its own merit without the need for embellishment. This kind of communication demonstrates maturity and self-assuredness, qualities that draw respect and attention. Consider the way emotions function in communication. Overuse of strong words can inflate feelings, pushing them into exaggerated territory. This may trigger skepticism or defensiveness in listeners. When feelings are presented with nuance, however, they resonate more authentically. Conveying intensity through thoughtful choice of words rather than volume can be far more persuasive. Learning to communicate with fewer strong words requires keen awareness of your language habits. Many people use emphatic terms out of habit or cultural conditioning without realizing it. The phrases absolutely, totally, incredible, or unbelievable pepper everyday speech, sometimes losing their original power due to overuse. Replacing these words with more measured alternatives sharpens your message. The practice of simplifying your language sharpens your focus. Instead of piling on adjectives or adverbs to describe something as really, really important or extremely urgent, you learn to state its importance directly and let it speak for itself. This directness avoids clutter and commands more attention. Choosing precision over exaggeration also encourages deeper thinking. When you use fewer strong words, You must consider carefully what you want to say and why. This intentionality improves not only how you speak, but what you speak about. Your ideas become clearer and more coherent because they are distilled to their essential elements. In conversations, this approach fosters respect and openness. People feel less pressured and more willing to listen when you communicate calmly and thoughtfully. Your message becomes an invitation rather than a demand. This creates space for dialogue and collaboration rather than conflict. It's important to understand that communicating with fewer strong words is not about diminishing your passion or conviction. Rather, it is about channeling those qualities with discipline. True conviction does not need to shout. It commands attention by its steadiness and authenticity. The restraint you show signals that you have confidence in your message's substance. One practical step is to become more conscious of your choice of words in daily interactions. When you catch yourself reaching for a strong word, pause and ask if a simpler alternative might suffice. This moment of mindfulness cultivates greater control over your language. Over time, this habit reshapes your communication style. You develop a voice that is calm but compelling, clear but gentle. This balance is particularly effective in leadership or negotiation settings, where emotional intensity can cloud judgment. Leaders who master this art inspire trust through calm authority. Reading and listening to skilled communicators who use language sparingly can provide excellent examples. Observe how they convey powerful messages with subtlety and economy. Notice how their words create space for the listener's own interpretation and reflection. Emulating this style helps you refine your own approach. In written communication, reducing strong words enhances professionalism and credibility. Emails, reports, and proposals that avoid excessive emphasis come across as more reasoned and reliable. This measured tone increases the likelihood that your ideas will be taken seriously and acted upon. Another benefit of using fewer strong words is the reduction of misunderstandings. Overblown language can cause confusion or misinterpretation, especially when cultural or contextual differences exist. Clear, precise language minimizes these risks and promotes mutual understanding. It's also worth noting that strong words can sometimes trigger emotional reactions that overshadow the content of your message. When people hear extreme language, their focus may shift to the tone rather than the substance. By speaking with restraint, you keep the focus on your ideas and avoid unnecessary emotional distractions. Building this skill requires patience and practice. It is natural to want to emphasize your points, especially when you feel passionate. Learning to temper that urge with thoughtful word choice is an exercise in self-control. Each conversation offers a new chance to practice this balance. Pairing this approach with active listening strengthens your overall communication. When you listen attentively, you better understand what your audience needs, allowing you to tailor your message accordingly. This responsiveness reduces the temptation to rely on forceful language as a substitute for connection. It is helpful to remember that communication is a dance, not a battle. When you reduce the intensity of your words, you invite others to join you in a shared space of understanding. This collaboration enriches the interaction and fosters lasting relationships. Your body language and tone of voice also play crucial roles in communicating with fewer strong words. Calm, steady gestures and a measured pace complement your choice of language. These non-verbal cues reinforce your message and convey confidence without aggression. Developing the ability to communicate with fewer strong words also aligns with emotional intelligence. It reflects awareness of your impact on others and respect for their perspectives. This sensitivity enhances your influence and helps build rapport. When you master this approach, you notice a shift in how others respond to you. Conversations become more productive and conflicts decrease. People appreciate your clarity and composure, and you gain a reputation for thoughtful communication. This skill empowers you to handle challenging situations with grace. When faced with disagreement or tension, speaking with restraint diffuses potential escalation. Your calm presence encourages reasoned dialogue and problem solving. It's important to distinguish between passion and forcefulness. Passion ignites connection and motivation. Forcefulness can alienate or intimidate. Communicating with fewer strong words keeps your passion alive while avoiding the pitfalls of aggression. Reflecting on your intentions before speaking helps maintain this balance. Ask yourself what you hope to achieve and how your word choice supports that goal. This reflection guides you toward language that serves your purpose without overwhelming your audience. Cultivating this habit transforms not only your communication but your thinking. Clear, measured speech mirrors clear, focused thought. The discipline of choosing fewer strong words sharpens your mental clarity and decision-making. This refinement of expression also nurtures humility. Recognizing that your message does not need to dominate encourages openness to other viewpoints. This humility strengthens relationships and fosters mutual growth. Over time, you build a communication style marked by authenticity and respect. Your words resonate because they are sincere, not because they are loud. This authenticity builds trust, the foundation of any meaningful connection. The journey toward this level of communication requires ongoing commitment. Each interaction is a step toward greater mastery. Celebrate progress, however small, and use setbacks as opportunities to learn. In this process, you prove to yourself that you can express powerful ideas without force. This proof builds self-respect and reinforces your ability to influence effectively. Ultimately, communicating with fewer strong words is about harnessing the power of restraint. It's about choosing to lead through calm authority rather than volume. This approach not only changes how others hear you but also how you experience yourself. Your voice becomes an instrument of clarity and strength, capable of moving hearts and minds without overwhelming them. This transformation deepens your impact and enriches every conversation you have. By mastering this skill, you unlock a new level of personal power. You prove to yourself that true influence comes not from loudness but from the quiet confidence of deliberate, thoughtful speech. Chapter 9. Practice mindful speech. Every time you talk. Every conversation we have is an opportunity, not just to share information, but to shape the way we think, connect, and grow. Mindful speech is the practice of bringing full awareness to every word we say, every sentence we form, and every tone we use. It means being present in the moment, conscious of the impact our words carry, and deliberate in how we express ourselves. This is not about being perfect or censoring yourself harshly. Rather, it's about cultivating a deep respect for communication as a tool that can either build bridges or burn them. When we practice mindful speech, we pause before we speak. We consider not just what we want to say, but why we want to say it. This pause is the foundation of intentional communication. Instead of letting words spill out unconsciously or reactively, mindful speech encourages reflection. Is this necessary? Is it kind? Is it true? Does it add value? These questions guide us away from careless chatter and towards meaningful exchange. Mindful speech changes the entire dynamic of conversation. It slows down the tendency to interrupt or dominate dialogue. When we speak with awareness, we listen more deeply to others, allowing their words to fully register before responding. This creates a space where understanding takes precedence over winning or proving a point. Conversations become less about noise and more about connection. One immediate benefit is that mindful speech helps prevent misunderstandings. In everyday interactions, many conflicts arise simply because words were rushed, unclear, or ill-considered. Speaking without mindfulness can lead to careless phrases, unintended offense, or confusion. By slowing down and choosing our words carefully, we communicate with greater clarity and fewer chances of being misinterpreted. This practice also promotes emotional regulation. Often emotions drive impulsive speech. Anger turns into harsh words, frustration into sharp tones. Mindful speech encourages us to notice these emotional triggers and decide how to respond rather than react. It invites calmness, which in turn fosters healthier dialogue and relationships. Learning to speak mindfully requires us to develop awareness not just of the content of our speech, but also of our body language and vocal tone. These elements convey as much meaning as the words themselves. Mindful speakers pay attention to their posture, eye contact, and breathing as they communicate, ensuring their whole presence supports their message. A calm voice, steady gaze, and open body posture invite trust and respect. The habit of mindful speech begins with self-observation. Notice when your words come out hurried or distracted. Reflect on moments when you regret what you said or how you said it. These reflections highlight areas where greater mindfulness would improve your communication. With patience and practice, you can transform these insights into intentional habits. Mindful speech is not about censorship or avoiding difficult conversations. On the contrary, it empowers you to express yourself honestly while maintaining respect for others. Speaking with intention means you can address challenges directly, but without unnecessary harshness or blame. This approach opens doors rather than closing them. One key to mastering mindful speech is cultivating patience. Conversations often demand immediate responses, especially in heated moments. Mindfulness teaches you to create a small but vital space between stimulus and response. In that space, you can choose words that align with your values and goals, rather than default reactions driven by stress or habit. The ripple effects of mindful speech extend beyond individual interactions. When you communicate with care, you influence the tone and quality of your relationships. Others notice your thoughtfulness and respond in kind. Over time, this mutual respect fosters deeper connections and more meaningful exchanges. In professional settings, mindful speech enhances credibility and leadership. Clear, deliberate communication signals confidence and competence. Colleagues and clients are more likely to trust and follow someone who speaks with clarity and purpose. It also reduces workplace conflicts caused by misunderstandings or rushed remarks. Mindful speech encourages you to avoid filler words, clichés, and vague expressions. These habits often emerge when we speak without full attention. Replacing them with precise, thoughtful language makes your message stronger and easier to understand. It also demonstrates respect for your audience's time and attention. Practicing mindful speech also involves embracing silence. Pauses in conversation are not gaps to be filled but opportunities for reflection and emphasis. Allowing moments of quiet shows confidence and invites others to engage more deeply. Silence can underscore important points far more effectively than continuous speech. This practice is a form of self-care. Words carry energy, both for the speaker and the listener. Speaking mindfully helps conserve your own emotional resources by reducing unnecessary conflict and stress. It also nurtures empathy, as you become more attuned to how your words affect others. Mindful speech can transform difficult conversations. When emotions run high, the tendency is to either withdraw or escalate. Mindfulness offers a third path, staying present, calm and intentional. This stance invites cooperation and problem-solving instead of blame and defensiveness. Another powerful aspect is how mindful speech influences your own mindset. Speaking with intention aligns your internal thoughts with your external expression. This coherence strengthens your sense of integrity and self-respect. You no longer feel fragmented or out of control in your communication. As you deepen this practice, you become more aware of the stories you tell yourself and others. Mindful speech encourages honesty and transparency, discouraging exaggeration or distortion. This clarity fosters authenticity, which is magnetic and builds trust. The journey to mindful speech is ongoing. It requires dedication and humility to notice your communication patterns without judgment. Each conversation provides feedback and learning opportunities. Celebrate progress, even small shifts, as steps toward greater mastery. To support this growth, develop rituals that bring awareness before speaking. It might be a brief breath, a mental checklist, or a grounding phrase. These rituals help anchor you in the present and set the intention to communicate mindfully. Mindful speech also invites curiosity. When you listen carefully and speak thoughtfully, you become more interested in others' perspectives. This curiosity enriches conversations and broadens your understanding of the world. This practice encourages adaptability. Different situations call for different tones, vocabulary, and pacing. Mindfulness helps you read these cues and adjust your speech accordingly. This flexibility enhances your effectiveness across varied contexts. Mindful speech respects boundaries, both yours and others. It empowers you to say no or set limits when necessary, without guilt or aggression. This clarity prevents resentment and preserves your well-being. In personal relationships, mindful speech nurtures intimacy. Sharing your thoughts with care and attention builds emotional safety. Partners, friends, and family members feel valued and heard, strengthening bonds. Your commitment to mindful speech becomes a model for others. By demonstrating how to communicate with respect and presence, you inspire those around you to elevate their own interactions. This influence multiplies your impact far beyond any single conversation. Mindful speech deepens your awareness of language's power. Words create realities, they can heal or harm. This realization fuels responsibility in how you choose to express yourself. You become a steward of your own voice and its effects. Practicing mindful speech also sharpens your listening skills. Speaking thoughtfully naturally flows from attentive listening. This reciprocal dynamic enriches dialogue and builds mutual understanding. This form of communication aligns with many ancient wisdom traditions that emphasize the sacredness of speech. Recognizing the weight of your words encourages reverence and care, which benefits all aspects of life. Mindful speech helps you navigate social complexities gracefully. It equips you to handle disagreements, misunderstandings, and awkward moments with poise. Your thoughtful responses diffuse tension and pave the way for resolution. The benefits extend to mental clarity. When you slow down and speak intentionally, your thoughts become more organized and coherent. This mental discipline spills over into decision-making and problem-solving. It's important to accept imperfection in this practice. Mindful speech is a path, not a destination. You will occasionally slip into old habits, but each return to awareness strengthens your skill and resilience. As you embrace mindful speech, you prove to yourself that communication can be a tool for empowerment rather than anxiety. This confidence transforms how you engage with the world, opening doors to greater influence and fulfillment. Ultimately, practicing mindful speech every time you talk invites a profound transformation. It turns ordinary interactions into opportunities for connection, growth, and understanding. By choosing your words with care, you not only improve your relationships, but deepen your relationship with yourself. This conscious communication becomes a cornerstone of your personal power and authenticity, guiding you toward a life of clarity and meaningful connection. Chapter 10. Respond with intention, not emotion or reaction. When you learn to respond with intention rather than with emotion or reaction, you unlock a power few truly master. The difference between reacting and responding is the difference between being controlled by circumstances and mastering them. Reacting is automatic. It is the unfiltered expression of feelings that flood your mind and body when something unexpected or challenging happens. Responding, by contrast, is deliberate, conscious, and measured. It means choosing your words and actions based on your values, goals, and understanding, rather than being swept away by the immediate tide of emotion. Reactions often arise from instinct and habit. They come quickly and forcefully, often before we have had time to think. This speed can be useful in moments of physical danger, but in conversations, relationships, or decisions, reactions frequently cause problems. When we respond out of anger, fear, or frustration, we risk escalating conflicts, damaging relationships, or making choices we later regret. Emotion-driven responses tend to be less thoughtful and less effective because they prioritize relief over resolution. Responding with intention requires awareness. It demands that you recognize the moment an emotional surge arises and acknowledge it without surrendering to it. Instead of allowing the first impulse to dictate your words or behavior, you pause, take a breath, and give yourself the space to decide. This pause is where true power lies. It allows you to separate your immediate feelings from the actions you will take. The practice of responding intentionally is rooted in self-mastery. It involves developing emotional intelligence, the ability to identify, understand, and manage your emotions, and applying that insight to your communication and decisions. When you cultivate this skill, you become less vulnerable to being hijacked by impulsive reactions and more capable of steering situations toward positive outcomes. Intentional responses create opportunities for growth and understanding. Instead of reacting defensively to criticism, you can listen openly and extract lessons. Rather than reacting with hostility during disagreements, you can express your perspective calmly, fostering dialogue instead of division. This approach strengthens relationships because it signals respect for yourself and others, even when tensions run high. One way to strengthen your ability to respond intentionally is to cultivate mindfulness. Mindfulness trains you to observe your internal state without judgment, noticing when emotions rise and when thoughts become reactive. This awareness becomes a checkpoint where you decide how to proceed. Over time, mindfulness builds resilience by reducing impulsivity and enhancing clarity. Responding with intention also means clarifying your goals before you engage. When faced with a challenging situation or conflict, ask yourself, what outcome do I want? What values do I want to uphold? How can my words or actions align with those goals? Having this clarity grounds your response, ensuring it serves a constructive purpose rather than merely reacting to a stimulus. This approach fosters patience. Often, emotional reactions stem from a sense of urgency, the need to be heard, to defend oneself, or to fix a problem immediately. Intentional responding invites you to slow down, recognizing that some situations benefit from reflection before action. Patience does not mean passivity, it means strategic timing and thoughtful engagement. Practicing intentional responses changes your internal dialogue as well. When you pause before reacting, you interrupt negative thought patterns that fuel emotional outbursts. This interruption creates space to reframe challenges positively, to remind yourself of your strength and capacity to handle difficulties without losing control. Intentional responses are not about suppressing emotions or pretending to be unaffected. Rather, they acknowledge feelings as valid signals that inform your decisions. You honor your emotions by recognizing them, but you choose actions based on wisdom, not impulse. This distinction is key to emotional maturity and effective communication. In relationships, responding with intention builds trust. People sense when you speak from a place of calm and consideration. They feel safer sharing their own thoughts and emotions because they know you will not react unpredictably. This safety nurtures deeper connection and mutual respect. This practice also helps you manage stress. Reacting emotionally often increases tension, creating cycles of conflict or regret. Responding thoughtfully breaks these cycles. You gain control over your experience, reducing anxiety and promoting peace of mind. Intentional response enhances problem solving. When you engage from a place of clarity rather than reactivity, you approach challenges with creativity and openness. You are better able to weigh options, foresee consequences, and collaborate effectively with others. Learning to respond with intention requires patience with yourself. Habits of reactive behavior are deeply ingrained, shaped by years of conditioning and survival instincts. Change comes gradually through consistent practice and gentle self-correction. Each conscious choice to pause and respond strengthens new neural pathways, rewiring your brain for greater self-control. Strategies to develop this skill include grounding techniques such as deep breathing, counting silently, or focusing on physical sensations to calm your nervous system when emotions surge. These simple tools create the mental space needed to shift from reaction to response. Another helpful habit is journaling. Writing about emotional experiences and your responses helps you process feelings and identify patterns. Reflection increases self-awareness, allowing you to prepare for future situations with greater intention. It also helps to rehearse responses mentally. When anticipating challenging conversations or triggers, visualize yourself responding calmly and effectively. Mental rehearsal primes your brain to perform similarly in real moments. Building supportive environments encourages intentional responses as well. Surround yourself with people who model calm and thoughtful communication. Seek feedback and encouragement as you develop this practice. Intentional responses are a hallmark of leadership. Leaders who respond with composure inspire confidence and loyalty. They navigate crises without panic and foster cultures of respect and collaboration. This skill transcends professional settings and enriches personal life. It improves parenting, friendships, and romantic relationships by reducing misunderstandings and emotional volatility. When you respond with intention, you reclaim your power. You become the author of your narrative, choosing how you show up rather than being a passenger to your emotions. This empowerment fuels greater confidence and peace. Embracing this approach deepens your connection to your values. Your actions align with who you truly want to be, reinforcing integrity and self-respect. Intentional responses transform conflict from a battleground into an opportunity for dialogue and growth. They shift the focus from winning or losing to understanding and resolution. This practice enhances your credibility. People respect those who remain calm under pressure and respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. You learn to differentiate between situations that require immediate action and those that benefit from contemplation. This discernment increases effectiveness in decision-making. As your responses become more intentional, you also influence others to raise their communication standards. Your example encourages a culture of respect and mindfulness. Intentional response nurtures compassion for yourself and others. You recognize that emotional reactions often mask deeper needs or fears, which can be addressed more constructively with calm engagement. This practice leads to greater emotional balance. You experience fewer mood swings and more stability, contributing to overall well-being. Responding with intention is a form of self-respect. It honors your capacity to choose wisely and act with integrity, even in difficult moments. This skill requires ongoing commitment. Each moment is a new chance to practice and improve. Over time, intentional responding becomes your default mode, shaping a life of purpose and calm. Ultimately, responding with intention invites freedom. It liberates you from the chains of impulsive reactions, allowing you to navigate life with clarity, strength, and grace. You prove to yourself daily that your choices matter, that your voice is powerful, and that your actions reflect the best version of who you are becoming. Chapter 11. Respect silence as a tool of real influence. There is a profound strength hidden in silence that many overlook. In a world filled with constant noise and endless chatter, the ability to embrace silence is an art that can distinguish those who lead with true influence from those who simply fill space with words. Silence, far from being emptiness or weakness, serves as one of the most powerful tools in communication and leadership. When you respect silence, you create space, not just physical space, but mental and emotional room for clarity, reflection, and connection. Silence allows ideas to breathe, feelings to settle, and intentions to crystallize. It grants you the power to listen more deeply, understand more fully, and respond more effectively. In a culture obsessed with speaking and reacting, silence offers a counterbalance that commands respect and attention. Too often, people rush to fill every pause with noise, fearing that silence might be interpreted as ignorance, hesitation, or weakness. This fear stems from misunderstanding silence's true nature. Silence is not a void to be feared, but a presence to be honored. It can communicate confidence, patience, and wisdom without a single word uttered. When you master silence, you harness influence in a way that mere words cannot match. The pauses you create in conversation give others space to process what you've said, to think critically, and to respond with more care. It signals that you are in control of the dialogue and confident enough to let others speak or reflect. This invites respect rather than resistance. Silence can also heighten your presence. When you are calm and composed in silence, your demeanor conveys authority. People notice when you are comfortable without the need to fill every moment with speech. This calm steadiness draws others in, encouraging them to listen more attentively when you do speak. Furthermore, silence can be a powerful response in itself. In situations where emotions run high or conflict arises, choosing silence over immediate reaction diffuses tension. It gives you time to think, to avoid impulsive words that could harm or escalate problems. Silence here becomes a shield that protects your integrity and your relationships. In conversations, silence can encourage openness. People often speak more honestly when met with quiet attentiveness. By not interrupting or rushing to speak, You create an environment where others feel heard and valued. This openness builds trust and deepens connections. Silence also sharpens your awareness. When you embrace quiet moments, you become more attuned to nonverbal cues, the subtle shifts in tone, facial expressions, and body language that reveal what words sometimes hide. This awareness enhances your understanding and your ability to respond appropriately. Respecting silence means cultivating patience. It requires resisting the urge to immediately respond or dominate the conversation. This patience fosters a deeper, more meaningful exchange rather than a shallow back and forth. You learn that sometimes the most impactful message is the one left unspoken. Moreover, silence allows for better decision-making. When faced with complex choices, stepping back into silence helps you sift through distractions and noise. It enables clearer thinking and wiser judgment, free from the pressure of external expectations or hurried conclusions. There is also a humility in silence. It reflects the recognition that you do not have all the answers and that listening is as important as speaking. This humility invites learning and growth, opening doors to new perspectives and insights. Respecting silence encourages a balanced rhythm in communication. Just as music is shaped by the rests between notes, conversations gain power through the pauses that punctuate speech. These breaks enhance the meaning and impact of your words. In leadership, silence can be a strategic tool. When addressing a group, a well-placed pause before or after a statement amplifies its significance. It captures attention and allows your message to resonate more deeply. Leaders who understand this wield silence like a skilled musician controlling tempo and dynamics. Silence can also serve as a form of influence in negotiation and persuasion. Instead of rushing to fill gaps or justify positions, strategic quietness can create discomfort that prompts others to reveal more information or reconsider their stance. This approach fosters better outcomes by encouraging reflection rather than reaction. On a personal level, respecting silence nurtures inner peace. In the quiet, you connect with yourself on a deeper level, gaining insight into your values, desires, and emotions. This self-awareness strengthens your presence in all interactions and builds confidence in your voice when you choose to speak. The discipline to embrace silence requires practice. In a fast-paced society, staying quiet when others chatter or when uncomfortable feelings arise can feel unnatural. Yet, every intentional pause builds your capacity to use silence effectively. Cultivating silence involves creating habits that support stillness. Regular moments of solitude or meditation help train your mind to be comfortable with quiet. These practices calm mental noise and prepare you to engage with the world more thoughtfully. Respect for silence also means knowing when to listen rather than speak. Listening is an active process that demands focus and openness. It is a gift you offer to others that fosters connection and understanding. Silence is the vessel that holds this gift. In relationships, the ability to share silence comfortably signifies trust and intimacy. When two people can be silent together without discomfort, it reflects a deep bond that transcends words. This shared quiet strengthens emotional connection and mutual respect. Silence, when embraced as a tool, transforms communication from mere information exchange into meaningful interaction. It enhances your ability to convey authenticity and authority without force or volume. You command attention by saying less and meaning more. Respecting silence also invites creativity. In quiet moments, your mind can wander freely and generate new ideas unhampered by distraction. Many breakthroughs and insights emerge from these pauses, revealing solutions that hurried thinking might miss. Moreover, silence can serve as a boundary. When others speak negatively or aggressively, choosing silence rather than engaging can protect your energy and dignity. It signals that you will not be drawn into unproductive conflicts. This kind of boundary also teaches others how to treat you. By valuing silence, you communicate that not every provocation deserves a reaction, and that you hold space for respectful dialogue. In professional settings, silence can elevate your presence in meetings or presentations. Rather than rushing to fill gaps, allowing silence to settle before speaking demonstrates confidence and control. It invites curiosity and keeps your audience engaged. Even in daily conversations, a well-timed pause can clarify your thoughts and strengthen your message. It gives listeners a moment to absorb what you've said, increasing understanding and impact. Silence is not passive. It is an active choice that requires courage, especially when social pressure encourages constant talking. Choosing silence means choosing to listen, reflect, and respond with purpose. This discipline is a sign of maturity. It shows that you value quality over quantity in your communication, and that you trust yourself enough to wait for the right moment to speak. Respecting silence also enhances your emotional intelligence. It helps you manage your reactions and tune into others' needs and feelings. This attunement improves relationships and leadership effectiveness. When silence is respected, it can also foster resilience. It allows you to regroup after setbacks, calm anxiety, and regain perspective before moving forward. This resilience empowers you to face challenges with steadiness. Ultimately, silence is a form of influence rooted in presence, patience, and respect. It is a reminder that sometimes the most powerful statement is the one you don't make aloud. By valuing silence, you cultivate an inner strength that others sense and admire. You demonstrate that your influence comes not from volume or force, but from the calm confidence of thoughtful restraint. This practice transforms how you engage with the world, shifting your energy from reaction to reflection. You become someone who listens as much as speaks, who commands attention through presence rather than noise. Respecting silence opens a door to deeper connection with yourself and with others. It cultivates trust, enhances communication, and creates space for growth. It teaches you that true influence does not require constant affirmation. Sometimes, the greatest power lies in stillness. Embracing silence as a tool challenges the cultural norm of constant speaking. It invites you to reclaim your voice by first honoring the quiet within. This balance of sound and silence enriches your communication and your life. It reminds you that what you choose not to say can be just as meaningful as what you do say. By making silence a respected practice, you unlock a dimension of influence that few explore, yet everyone feels. You prove to yourself that influence is not about overpowering others, but about mastering yourself. In this mastery, silence becomes a bridge to authentic connection, wisdom, and lasting impact. Chapter 12. Build credibility by speaking less but with truth. True credibility is a rare and precious quality that distinguishes those who are trusted and respected from those who are merely heard. It is not earned by the volume of words spoken or by the charm of an endless conversation. Instead, it is built quietly, steadily, and powerfully by speaking less but with truth. The weight of truth gives each word significance, making your voice something others seek out rather than tune out. When you choose to speak less, you create a natural filter. You become more deliberate about what you say, carefully selecting words that align with your values and reflect genuine understanding. This restraint prevents you from diluting your message with filler or empty promises. It elevates your voice because what you share carries authenticity and wait. In a world overwhelmed with noise and misinformation, people yearn for clarity and honesty. Speaking less allows you to cut through the clutter and offer perspectives rooted in reality. Your words become like rare gems that shine brighter because they are not wasted. This economy of speech conveys confidence in yourself and in the truth you represent. Credibility is fragile. It can be built over time through consistent integrity and lost in an instant through careless speech. Speaking less with truth safeguards your reputation. When you avoid exaggeration, gossip, or empty talk, you show respect for others and for yourself. This respect forms the foundation of trust, which is the cornerstone of all meaningful relationships. Choosing truth over convenience in your communication demands courage. It means standing firm even when the truth is uncomfortable or unpopular. This kind of honesty fosters respect, even among those who may initially disagree with you. Over time, people learn that your words are reliable and that you do not bend to trends or social pressure. Speaking less also encourages deep listening. When you are not preoccupied with filling silence or steering conversations, you become more present and attentive to others. This attentiveness enhances your understanding and allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. People recognize this attentiveness and value the connection it creates. Your silence between words becomes a powerful tool. Pauses give listeners space to absorb your message and consider its meaning. This rhythm of speaking less and pausing builds anticipation and emphasizes the truth you deliver. It signals that your words are chosen with care and deserve reflection. By building credibility in this way, you also cultivate humility. You acknowledge that you do not need to dominate conversations or prove yourself constantly. Instead, you let your truth and integrity speak for themselves. This humility is magnetic, drawing others toward you because it reflects strength without arrogance. The truth you speak is not always easy. It may challenge assumptions, reveal hard realities, or call for change. Yet, it is precisely this courage to speak truthfully that establishes you as someone reliable and trustworthy. People are drawn to those who do not shy away from reality, even when it is uncomfortable. Speaking less with truth also sharpens your influence. When your words consistently align with facts and principles, others begin to seek your perspective. Your voice becomes a source of guidance rather than mere opinion. This influence is not about control but about inspiring respect and thoughtful action. In everyday interactions, this approach transforms how you are perceived. Instead of being seen as noisy or superficial, you are recognized as sincere and grounded. Your credibility grows through every conversation where you prioritize honesty over popularity or approval. This practice requires discipline. It means resisting the urge to speak simply to fill silence or to impress. It means waiting until you have something meaningful to contribute. Over time, this discipline becomes a habit, ingrained in how you communicate naturally. Speaking less also protects your energy. Words carry power, and wasting them on trivialities drains your capacity to engage authentically when it matters most. By conserving your speech for truth, you preserve your strength and focus. This principle applies in all areas of life, personal, professional, and public. In leadership, for instance, credibility is essential. Leaders who speak less but truthfully foster trust among their teams. Their guidance is valued because it is grounded in reality and experience, not rhetoric or empty promises. In relationships, speaking less with truth deepens bonds. When you communicate honestly, Even about difficult feelings or conflicts, you create space for genuine connection. This honesty builds safety and openness, which are essential for lasting relationships. When you build credibility this way, you also become a role model. Others observe how your words reflect your character and learn to value truth in their own lives. Your example encourages a culture of honesty and integrity wherever you go. Additionally, speaking less with truth invites self-awareness. It pushes you to examine your beliefs and motivations deeply. You become more conscious of what matters most to you and more intentional about expressing it. This self-awareness strengthens your voice and your presence. Credibility gained through truthful speech is not just about what you say, but also about how you say it. Your tone, your consistency, and your willingness to admit mistakes all contribute to the trust others place in you. This openness reinforces your authenticity and humanizes your communication. This approach does not mean silence in the face of injustice or avoidance of difficult conversations. Rather, it calls for courageous, clear, and truthful expression when it matters most. The impact of your words increases because they come from a place of integrity and respect. Speaking less with truth also fosters patience. You learn to wait for the right moment and the right words, rather than rushing to be heard. This patience enhances your effectiveness and deepens your impact. Over time, you realize that true influence is less about quantity and more about quality. One well-chosen truth can do far more than pages of empty talk. Your credibility grows as you consistently demonstrate this principle. This practice also encourages authenticity. When you speak only what is true for you, your communication aligns with your inner self. This alignment creates a powerful sense of integrity that others sense and admire. Respecting the power of truth in speech also guards against manipulation. When you commit to honesty, you avoid the traps of exaggeration, deceit, or flattery. Your communication becomes a force for clarity and trust, not confusion or mistrust. By speaking less but with truth, you create a legacy of reliability. People remember those who spoke honestly and acted consistently. Your credibility becomes a lasting asset that opens doors and builds bridges throughout your life. In moments when you must confront difficult issues, this foundation of credibility gives you strength. You can address challenges with confidence, knowing that your words carry the weight of truth and respect. Moreover, this practice enriches your inner life. You no longer feel the pressure to constantly perform or justify yourself. Your focus shifts to cultivating wisdom and speaking in ways that serve your highest purpose. Your relationships, career, and community all benefit when you build credibility this way. People are drawn to your steadiness and sincerity. Your words inspire trust and invite collaboration rather than skepticism. This path requires ongoing commitment. Every day offers new opportunities to practice speaking less and speaking truthfully. Each choice to prioritize honesty strengthens your credibility further. Ultimately, credibility built by speaking less but with truth is a gift to yourself and others. It reflects a life lived with integrity, courage, and respect. Your voice becomes a beacon of trustworthiness that guides and uplifts. This is a lifelong journey. Yet, the rewards are profound: deeper connections, greater influence, and a legacy of authenticity that transcends time. Your choice to embrace this principle proves your commitment to yourself and the world around you. Chapter 13. Say no firmly to protect your mental space. Protecting your mental space is one of the most essential practices for maintaining clarity, focus, and emotional resilience. Saying no firmly is not about shutting others out or being unkind. It is about honoring your boundaries and preserving your energy for what truly matters. When you say no with conviction, you claim ownership of your time, attention, and peace of mind. Many people struggle to say no because they fear disappointing others or being judged. This hesitation, however, comes at a cost. When you say yes to everything, your mental space becomes cluttered with distractions, obligations, and stress. Your priorities blur, and the quality of your presence in each moment diminishes. Learning to say no is a powerful act of self-respect and a necessary step toward a balanced, intentional life. Saying no firmly requires clarity about your values and goals. When you are clear on what deserves your time and what does not, decisions become easier. You develop a natural filter that helps you distinguish between opportunities that align with your vision and those that detract from it. This clarity empowers you to decline requests without guilt or over-explanation. Firmness in saying no is about being decisive and straightforward. It means avoiding ambiguous responses like maybe or I'll think about it, which only prolong uncertainty and invite pressure. A clear and direct no sets boundaries that others recognize and respect. It communicates that your mental space is valuable and not open to negotiation. When you say no firmly, you protect yourself from burnout. Overcommitting drains your energy reserves, leaving you depleted and less effective in your pursuits. Saying no preserves your capacity to engage fully with the things that fuel your growth and well-being. It is an act of prioritization that honors your limits. The practice of saying no also builds confidence. Every time you stand firm in your decision, you reinforce your self-worth and agency. You no longer feel controlled by external demands or the need to please everyone. This confidence radiates outward, influencing how others treat your time and boundaries. Mental space is not just about managing external demands, it also involves guarding your internal environment. Saying no firmly to certain thoughts, habits, or influences is equally important. Protecting your mind from negativity, doubt, and unnecessary worry allows you to maintain clarity and resilience. Many successful individuals attribute much of their progress to their ability to say no. They recognize that their most valuable resource is time and mental focus. By declining distractions and non-essential requests, they create space for deep work, meaningful relationships, and personal growth. This practice is not about selfishness, but about stewardship. You become a guardian of your mental landscape, carefully choosing what to allow in and what to exclude. Saying no firmly is a declaration that you will not sacrifice your well-being for temporary approval or convenience. It's important to remember that saying no does not require elaborate justifications. Simple honesty is often the most respectful response. A clear no, I can't take that on right now, is both sufficient and kind. This straightforwardness eliminates confusion and frees you from the burden of over-explaining. Sometimes people will push back when you say no, especially if they are used to getting your automatic yes. This is where firmness matters most. Holding your ground calmly and without apology shows that your boundaries are non-negotiable. Over time, others learn to honor your limits because you consistently reinforce them. Saying no also creates space for deeper yeses. When you decline requests that don't serve your goals or values, you free up energy to fully commit to the things that do. This focus enhances your effectiveness and satisfaction in your chosen pursuits. This skill requires practice and patience. At first, saying no firmly might feel uncomfortable or unfamiliar. You may worry about disappointing people or missing opportunities. However, with repetition, it becomes a natural part of your communication and self-care. In learning to say no, you also cultivate awareness of your true needs. You become more attuned to when your mental space feels crowded or overwhelmed. This sensitivity helps you intervene early, preventing stress from accumulating to unmanageable levels. Firmly saying no also encourages healthier relationships. When you set clear boundaries, others understand what you can and cannot offer. This clarity reduces resentment and misunderstandings, fostering mutual respect and better communication. Your mental space is the foundation of your creativity, problem-solving, and emotional balance. Protecting it means safeguarding the very core of your productivity and happiness. Saying no firmly is an essential tool in maintaining this sanctuary. Avoiding overcommitment allows you to engage more deeply and authentically in the activities and relationships that matter most. It prevents you from spreading yourself too thin and losing connection with your purpose. This practice also invites intentional living. Each no is a choice that shapes the trajectory of your days and ultimately your life. By choosing carefully, you design a mental environment conducive to growth, calm, and fulfillment. When you say no firmly, you also model healthy boundaries for those around you. Friends, family, and colleagues learn from your example and may be inspired to protect their own mental space as well. It is crucial to remember that protecting your mental space is a continuous process. New demands and distractions arise constantly, and your commitment to saying no must be ongoing. This vigilance ensures that your boundaries remain intact over time. Sometimes, saying no may require explaining your priorities to help others understand your perspective. Sharing your focus or workload openly can build empathy and support, reducing potential conflicts. Saying no does not mean rejecting connection or kindness. On the contrary, it allows you to engage more fully and generously when you do say yes. Your energy is not depleted by spreading yourself too thin, so your presence is more meaningful. You will find that saying no firmly improves your overall mental health. Reduced stress, clearer focus, and enhanced control over your time lead to greater peace of mind and resilience against challenges. This skill empowers you to navigate life's complexities with intention. You become the author of your commitments rather than a passive participant. Your mental space becomes a protected zone where creativity and clarity thrive. In moments when saying no feels especially difficult, remind yourself of the value of your mental space. Consider it a sacred resource that fuels your well-being and effectiveness. This perspective strengthens your resolve. Developing this habit transforms how you relate to time and demands. You no longer feel overwhelmed by external pressures because you have learned to protect your boundaries confidently and consistently. As you practice saying no firmly, you also become more selective about your goals and projects. This selectivity enhances your quality of work and personal satisfaction. Your mental space becomes an environment where focused energy flows freely. Distractions, obligations, and unnecessary stress are kept at bay by your firm boundaries. Saying no firmly does not close doors. It opens space for new possibilities that align with your vision. It allows you to prioritize growth and well-being over temporary distractions. In building this habit, you demonstrate respect for yourself that others cannot ignore. Your confidence and clarity invite respect and admiration. This practice also develops your emotional intelligence. You learn to recognize when your mental space is threatened and respond proactively rather than reactively. Protecting your mental space through firm no's helps you maintain balance amid life's demands. It ensures that your mind remains a place of calm focus rather than chaos and overwhelm. Ultimately, this commitment honors your journey and your potential. By saying no firmly, you create the conditions for a fulfilling, purposeful life built on intentional choices and clear boundaries. Chapter 14. Strengthen your presence by speaking with clarity. The power of presence is often underestimated. It is not just about being physically there, it is about commanding the moment with your voice and your words. Speaking with clarity strengthens your presence in a way that resonates deeply with others, allowing your message to be heard, understood, and respected. When you express yourself clearly, you create an atmosphere of trust and authority that draws people in naturally. Clarity in speech is the foundation of effective communication. It ensures your ideas are conveyed without confusion or doubt. People are more likely to listen and respond positively when they can easily grasp your meaning. This simple truth has profound implications for every interaction, whether in conversation, negotiation, leadership, or personal relationships. Achieving clarity begins with understanding your own thoughts. You cannot communicate what you do not clearly comprehend yourself. Take time to organize your ideas before speaking. This preparation does not require lengthy rehearsals. Even a moment of mental focus can transform your message from muddled to precise. Clear speech eliminates unnecessary filler words and vague expressions that dilute your message. Instead of trailing off or hedging, choose words that are direct and unambiguous. This precision shows confidence and respect for your listeners' time and attention. When you speak with clarity, your tone matches your intent. You avoid mumbling or rushing through sentences. Instead, your pace is deliberate, your voice steady, and your articulation crisp. This combination projects confidence and control, reinforcing your presence in the room. Clarity also involves structure. Present your thoughts in a logical flow, connecting ideas smoothly. This organization helps listeners follow your reasoning and increases the impact of your words. When your speech flows naturally, it feels effortless and compelling. A clear message is memorable. People tend to remember what is simple and straightforward rather than complex or cluttered. Speaking with clarity ensures your ideas stick, influencing others long after the conversation ends. Clarity empowers you to express your needs and boundaries firmly. When you communicate what you want or don't want clearly, others are less likely to misunderstand or push back. This straightforwardness saves you from repeated explanations or conflicts. Speaking clearly also enhances your credibility. People trust those who articulate their ideas confidently and coherently. Your clarity becomes a reflection of your integrity and reliability, strengthening your influence. Practicing clarity helps you avoid common pitfalls such as ambiguity or over-explaining. Ambiguous statements invite misinterpretation, while over-explaining can appear defensive or uncertain. Striking the right balance maintains authority and keeps the conversation focused. Listening is an essential part of speaking with clarity. By truly hearing others, you can respond appropriately, reinforcing your message with relevance and precision. Clarity is a two-way street that thrives on mutual understanding. Non-verbal cues complement clear speech. Maintaining eye contact, using purposeful gestures, and adopting an open posture all reinforce your words. These elements work together to create a strong presence that commands respect. Clarity frees you from the trap of miscommunication, which often leads to frustration or conflict. When your words are clear, you minimize misunderstandings and create a positive atmosphere for dialogue. Sometimes clarity requires courage. It means saying what needs to be said, even when it is uncomfortable. Avoiding vagueness or silence in difficult moments shows strength and earns respect. The habit of speaking with clarity builds over time. Start by slowing down your speech, choosing your words deliberately, and focusing on one idea at a time. With consistent practice, clear communication becomes second nature. Speaking clearly also makes you more persuasive. When your message is easy to follow, you can guide others toward your point of view without confusion or resistance. This influence is subtle but powerful. In high-stress situations, clarity becomes even more critical. When emotions run high, people need clear, calm communication to feel secure and understood. Your ability to maintain clarity under pressure enhances your leadership and presence. Clarity does not mean simplicity at the expense of depth. You can convey complex ideas clearly by breaking them down into understandable parts. This skill shows mastery of your subject and respect for your audience. Choosing words carefully is a form of kindness. Clear communication reduces the cognitive load on listeners, making conversations smoother and more productive. It also demonstrates empathy and consideration. Silence can support clarity. Pausing after important points allows your message to settle and gives listeners time to process. This rhythm enhances the effectiveness of your speech. Avoid jargon or overly technical language unless you are certain your audience understands it. Clear language bridges gaps and connects people rather than alienating them. Clarity in speech reflects clarity in thought. When your mind is focused and organized, your words follow suit. Developing mental clarity through mindfulness or reflection supports your communication skills. Feedback is a useful tool for improving clarity. Encourage others to ask questions or summarize what they heard. This interaction helps you gauge if your message landed as intended. Reading and expanding your vocabulary also contribute to clarity. The more precise your word choices, the better you can express subtle nuances and avoid ambiguity. Clear speech enhances your personal brand. People remember how you communicate as much as what you say. A reputation for clarity makes you a sought-after speaker and trusted advisor. In everyday life, clarity simplifies interactions. Whether in meetings, casual conversations, or digital communication, clear speech saves time and prevents misunderstandings. Your presence becomes stronger as you learn to speak less but say more. Clarity encourages economy of words without sacrificing meaning, creating a powerful and memorable impact. Confidence grows naturally from clarity. When you know your message is clear, you feel more secure in sharing it. This confidence attracts attention and fosters respect. Clarity also protects you from manipulation. Clear communication enables you to identify inconsistencies or hidden agendas in others' words, helping you respond wisely. Body language supports your clear speech by reinforcing your message. Open gestures, steady eye contact, and relaxed posture signal honesty and assurance. In groups, clear communication helps build consensus. When ideas are presented clearly, the group can make decisions more efficiently and with greater alignment. Speaking with clarity is an act of leadership. It guides others, inspires trust, and creates a shared understanding that moves projects and relationships forward. Even in moments of uncertainty, strive for clarity. Admit what you don't know instead of confusing others with vague statements. Honesty builds credibility and trust. Clarity strengthens your narrative. Whether telling a story or making a point, a clear structure and simple language engage listeners and make your message resonate. Practice clarity by recording yourself or seeking constructive criticism. Identifying habits like mumbling or rambling helps you refine your delivery. The rhythm and tone of your voice contribute to clarity. Modulate your speech to emphasize key points and maintain listener interest without losing your natural style. Clear communication builds bridges between diverse perspectives. It creates a space for respectful dialogue and shared understanding despite differences. In your personal life, clarity fosters deeper connections. Being understood reduces conflict and increases intimacy with loved ones. Clarity also aids decision-making. When you communicate your choices clearly, you reduce confusion and encourage accountability. Learning to speak with clarity empowers you to express your authentic self. It aligns your inner voice with your outer words, creating integrity and harmony. Your presence becomes magnetic as your words gain clarity. People naturally gravitate toward those who communicate with purpose and precision. Ultimately, speaking with clarity is a gift you give yourself and others. It opens doors, builds trust, and strengthens your influence in every area of life. Chapter 15. Use fewer words to make a deeper impact. There is immense power in simplicity. When you speak less, your words gain weight. The fewer words you use, the more attention each one commands. This paradox defies the common impulse to fill silence or to elaborate endlessly in the hope of being understood. True impact emerges not from the quantity of words, but from the quality and intention behind them. Using fewer words demands precision. You must choose each one deliberately, ensuring it carries the exact meaning you want to convey. This discipline sharpens your message and eliminates distractions. People become more receptive when you cut through noise and get straight to the heart of the matter. Minimal speech fosters respect. It shows you value not only your time, but also the time and focus of your listeners. When you avoid unnecessary verbosity, you create space for reflection and deeper connection. Others sense your confidence and clarity, recognizing that your words are measured and meaningful. Silence plays a vital role in amplifying fewer words. Pausing before or after a statement allows it to resonate. This breathing space invites others to absorb and consider what you've said, making your message linger longer in their minds. Brevity is not about being curt or dismissive. It is about honoring the power of restraint. You communicate that your words matter so much that you do not waste them. This attitude naturally commands attention and influence. When you speak concisely, you reduce misunderstandings. Clear, succinct statements leave less room for confusion or misinterpretation. Your ideas stand out because they are easier to follow and remember. Less talk also encourages better listening. When you do not overwhelm the conversation with excessive words, you invite others to engage and respond thoughtfully. This creates a richer dialogue built on mutual respect. Economy of words fosters authenticity. It forces you to focus on what truly matters, rather than what is convenient or habitual. You discard filler and fluff, revealing your genuine thoughts and feelings with honesty. In professional settings, concise communication boosts effectiveness. Meetings become more productive, decisions are reached faster, and collaboration improves. People appreciate when you honor their attention by being clear and brief. Using fewer words is a form of self-control. It requires you to resist the urge to ramble or over-explain. This restraint builds discipline and mental clarity, enhancing your overall presence. You strengthen your credibility by avoiding empty promises or vague statements. When you speak sparingly but with precision, your words carry weight and trustworthiness. Others know that what you say is carefully considered and reliable. Choosing fewer words demands emotional intelligence. You learn to read the room and sense when less is more. Sometimes saying nothing at all can be the most powerful response, but when you do speak, your words pierce through the noise. Conciseness fosters creativity. It challenges you to express complex ideas simply, inspiring innovation in how you communicate. This skill helps you connect with diverse audiences and adapt your message effectively. Less is more when you want to be memorable. Long-winded explanations tend to fade quickly, but a short, impactful phrase can stick with someone for years. Think of the quotes, speeches, or advice that changed your life. They were often brief but profound. Using fewer words also reduces stress. Over-explaining can create anxiety and self-doubt, while concise speech reflects confidence and calmness. This composure attracts respect and eases interpersonal dynamics. The habit of speaking less but with intent develops over time. Start by reflecting on your daily conversations and noticing where you can trim unnecessary details. Practice pausing before responding to gather your thoughts and select your words carefully. Reading great communicators helps. Notice how leaders, writers, and speakers craft their messages economically yet effectively. Emulate their style while finding your own authentic voice. Clear writing reinforces concise speaking. When you learn to write with economy, you naturally apply the same principles to your speech. This synergy improves your overall communication skills. Fewer words enhance storytelling. By stripping your narrative to its essence, you create tension and focus that captivate listeners. Every word becomes a brushstroke in a vivid, compelling picture. Conciseness strengthens persuasion. When your argument is succinct, it is easier to follow and harder to refute. You eliminate distractions and focus attention on your core message. In moments of conflict, fewer words prevent escalation. Lengthy explanations or defenses often fuel misunderstandings. A calm, brief response diffuses tension and demonstrates control. Listening deeply supports concise speaking. Understanding others fully allows you to respond precisely without unnecessary elaboration. This mutual clarity fosters respect and trust. Being concise requires courage. It means resisting the urge to justify or defend excessively. It takes confidence to speak only what is necessary and leave the rest unsaid. Words have energy. The more you speak, the more energy you expend. Using fewer words conserves your energy and transfers that strength into the impact of each statement. Economical speech reflects clarity of mind. When you know what you want to say and why, your words flow naturally and efficiently. This mental clarity translates into powerful communication. The rhythm of speech matters. Pausing between key points enhances understanding and gives your words space to breathe. This pacing invites attention and makes your message more compelling. Minimal speech nurtures humility. It reminds you that you don't need to fill every silence to be heard or valued. Sometimes the most powerful presence is quiet confidence. In digital communication, brevity is especially valuable. With so much information competing for attention, clear and concise messages stand out and get read. Using fewer words reduces the risk of saying something you will regret. Thoughtful restraint allows you to consider the impact of your words before they leave your mouth. The practice of speaking less sharpens your listening skills. When you're not focused on your own words, you can fully absorb what others say and respond more meaningfully. Silence after your words invites others to contribute. This creates a balanced exchange and shows you respect their input, strengthening relationships. Conciseness in speech aligns with integrity. It ensures that your words match your actions, building trust and respect over time. The more selective you are with your words, the more memorable they become. People remember those who speak sparingly but with insight and purpose. In leadership, concise communication sets clear expectations. It minimizes confusion and empowers others to act decisively. Speaking less also protects your mental space. It prevents you from getting entangled in unnecessary debates or distractions that drain your focus. When you master the art of fewer words, you become a better storyteller, leader, friend, and communicator. Your presence expands as your speech contracts. Embrace the power of brevity as a tool for influence and clarity. Each word you choose carefully becomes a beacon of your intention and strength. In this way, less truly becomes more. Chapter 16. Filter your thoughts before letting them out. Every thought that crosses your mind is not meant to be expressed. The mind is a constant stream, flowing faster than we can often handle, and within that rush are ideas, judgments, emotions, and reactions that need careful consideration before being shared. To speak without filtering is to risk confusion, misunderstanding, and unintended consequences. The ability to filter your thoughts before letting them out is a crucial skill that shapes your relationships, reputation, and overall influence. Filtering thoughts is not about censoring yourself or hiding your truth. It's about respecting the power your words carry and choosing the right ones to communicate your ideas clearly and constructively. When you filter effectively, you ensure that your speech is purposeful, relevant, and aligned with your values. It is a practice of mindfulness, where you observe your inner dialogue and decide which parts serve your higher goals and which do not. The first step in this process is awareness. You must become aware of your thoughts as they arise, recognizing their nature without immediately reacting. This moment of awareness is a pause, a critical space where you can decide whether the thought deserves to be expressed or better kept silent. Without this pause, your mind runs on autopilot, and your words become impulsive reflections of fleeting emotions or biases. Filtering your thoughts means assessing their truth and usefulness. Ask yourself, is this thought accurate? Is it based on facts or assumptions? Does expressing it build up or tear down? Will it contribute to a solution or just stir more conflict? By examining your thoughts with these questions, you create a mental filter that screens out unnecessary noise and highlights valuable insights. This practice guards you against saying things you might later regret. Often, impulsive speech is driven by anger, fear, or frustration, states that cloud judgment. When you filter your thoughts, you allow your rational mind to override immediate emotional impulses. This restraint not only preserves your dignity, but also protects your relationships and personal integrity. Filtering thoughts also fosters empathy. Considering how your words affect others encourages kindness and respect. You recognize that communication is not just about expressing yourself, but about connecting with others in a meaningful way. When you filter with empathy, your words become bridges instead of barriers. The discipline to filter begins with slowing down your mental processes. In a world that prizes speed and quick reactions, slowing your response time can feel counterintuitive. Yet it is precisely this slow, deliberate pacing that improves the quality of your communication. Taking a breath before speaking creates space to evaluate your thoughts and align your message with your intentions. Filtering thoughts helps you focus on what matters most. It allows you to prioritize clarity and relevance over filling silence or dominating conversations. This selectivity makes your speech more impactful and respected because it reflects careful thought rather than idle chatter. This process also enhances your confidence. When you speak, knowing your words are chosen thoughtfully, you project authority and trustworthiness. People sense the difference between someone who speaks with conviction and someone who fills space without care. Filtering your thoughts prevents the spread of misinformation. In today's digital age, words travel fast and wide. Speaking without filtering can amplify rumors, half-truths, or harmful ideas. Taking responsibility for your speech includes verifying facts and considering the broader impact of what you say. Self-reflection is a key part of developing this skill. After conversations, reflect on what you said and how it was received. Notice moments when you spoke too hastily or failed to filter effectively. Use these experiences as lessons to improve future communication. Filtering does not mean avoiding difficult conversations. Rather, it means approaching them with intention and respect. You can express disagreement, critique, or concern while still filtering your words to maintain constructive dialogue. This approach preserves relationships and opens the door for honest exchange without hostility. Mental filtering strengthens your emotional intelligence. By regulating what you express, you also manage your emotional state more effectively. This regulation reduces stress and helps maintain calmness even in challenging interactions. Another benefit is the cultivation of patience. Filtering requires waiting for the right moment and the right words. This patience enhances your overall presence and shows that you are thoughtful and composed. Filtering also sharpens your problem-solving skills. By organizing your thoughts before sharing, you clarify your perspective and can communicate solutions more clearly. This clarity invites collaboration rather than confusion. In personal relationships, filtering thoughts nurtures trust. When others see that you speak thoughtfully and respectfully, they feel safer sharing their own thoughts and feelings. This mutual respect deepens connections and builds stronger bonds. Filtering your thoughts keeps you focused on your goals. It prevents distraction by irrelevant or negative mental chatter that might derail your intentions. By choosing your words carefully, you align your communication with your purpose. The habit of filtering can be cultivated through mindfulness practices. Meditation, journaling, or simply pausing during conversations to breathe and think are powerful tools to strengthen this skill. These practices train your mind to notice impulses without acting on them immediately. Sometimes, the best filter is silence. Choosing not to speak can be the most powerful response, especially when emotions run high or when you need time to gather your thoughts. Silence signals control and maturity, often speaking louder than words. Filtering also requires honesty with yourself. Be willing to confront uncomfortable thoughts and decide whether they belong in the conversation or remain private reflections. This honesty builds self-awareness and emotional strength. This skill helps you avoid misunderstandings that arise from half-formed thoughts or careless language. Clear, filtered communication minimizes the risk of being misinterpreted or causing offense unintentionally. Filtering thoughts promotes a growth mindset. You become open to learning and adjusting your views rather than impulsively defending them. This openness enriches your interactions and personal development. The more you practice filtering, the more natural it becomes. Over time, it transforms from a deliberate effort into an effortless habit. Your mind learns to automatically sift through thoughts and select those worth expressing. Filtering also enhances your creativity. When you allow your mind space to refine ideas before sharing, your expressions become more original and insightful. This creativity attracts attention and respect. In leadership, filtering is essential. Leaders who communicate with intention inspire confidence and loyalty. They avoid unnecessary drama and focus on guiding others effectively. Filtering your thoughts protects your mental energy. It prevents you from becoming overwhelmed by negative or distracting thoughts that can spill out uncontrollably. This protection helps maintain mental clarity and emotional balance. The practice also improves your listening skills. When you focus less on preparing your next unfiltered response, you can listen more deeply to others. This deep listening fosters understanding and connection. Filtering thoughts contributes to your personal integrity. It ensures that what you say reflects your true values and beliefs rather than momentary impulses or external pressures. It strengthens your reputation. People notice when you consistently communicate thoughtfully and with care. This reputation opens doors and builds lasting influence. Filtering is a way to honor yourself and others. It acknowledges that words are powerful tools that can heal or harm. Choosing your words wisely shows respect for the impact they have. You will find that filtering thoughts makes conversations more productive and satisfying. It reduces conflict and misunderstandings while promoting harmony and cooperation. To master filtering, practice patience with yourself. It takes time to build this mental discipline, especially if you are used to speaking impulsively. Celebrate small successes and learn from setbacks. Remember, every word you speak shapes your world. Filtering your thoughts before letting them out ensures that your words serve your highest purpose. This practice transforms communication from a reactionary act into a deliberate art, strengthening your relationships and your sense of self. As you deepen this skill, you'll notice a profound shift. Your inner world becomes calmer, your external interactions more meaningful, and your presence more powerful. Filtering is not just about speech, it is about living with intention and integrity every moment. Chapter 17. Speak to uplift, not to impress or prove. Speaking holds immense power, not just in shaping conversations, but in shaping lives. When you choose to speak with the purpose of uplifting others, rather than impressing them or proving a point, you tap into a force that transforms both the speaker and the listener. This approach elevates communication beyond superficial exchange, making it a genuine act of connection and growth. Too often, speech is used as a tool to assert dominance, win arguments, or boost one's ego. People feel compelled to demonstrate their knowledge, achievements, or status in every conversation. While this might create temporary attention or approval, it rarely leads to authentic respect or meaningful influence. Speaking with the intention to impress often leaves the audience disengaged or skeptical, sensing that the words serve self-interest more than mutual benefit. On the other hand, speaking to uplift shifts the focus entirely away from self-centered motives. When your aim is to encourage, inspire, or offer genuine support, your words carry warmth and sincerity that resonate deeply. This form of communication nurtures trust and opens hearts, inviting collaboration and positive change. Uplifting speech starts with humility. It acknowledges that you do not have to prove yourself to others because your value is inherent and secure. Instead of competing for recognition, you seek to add value to someone else's experience. This mindset fosters a calm confidence that shines through your voice and demeanor. When you speak to uplift, you prioritize the needs and feelings of your listeners. You listen more and talk less, carefully considering how your message can empower rather than diminish. This empathy builds bridges and dissolves barriers, creating spaces where people feel seen and supported. Such communication is rooted in honesty and kindness. It means sharing truths that help others grow, while avoiding words that might wound or belittle. The courage to speak honestly, paired with the grace to soften delivery, transforms difficult conversations into opportunities for healing and progress. Speaking to uplift also involves choosing words that inspire action and hope. Instead of dwelling on problems or weaknesses, you highlight potential, strengths, and possibilities. This positive focus energizes others to move forward and overcome obstacles. Moreover, uplifting speech carries a timeless quality. It transcends trends, jargon, or fleeting opinions because it speaks to fundamental human needs: respect, encouragement, and connection. People remember and cherish conversations where they felt lifted rather than judged. To master this way of speaking, cultivate mindfulness about your motives before and during every interaction. Ask yourself, am I seeking to elevate the other person, or am I trying to prove something about myself? This simple reflection can recalibrate your approach and keep your communication aligned with uplifting intentions. Uplifting communication requires emotional intelligence. You must recognize the emotional climate of the conversation and respond thoughtfully. This sensitivity ensures your words are received well and achieve the desired impact. It's also important to embrace vulnerability. Sharing your own struggles, lessons learned, or moments of doubt can uplift others by showing them they are not alone. Vulnerability humanizes you and invites empathy, breaking down walls of isolation. Another aspect is the power of encouragement. Genuine compliments, affirmations, and acknowledgements can transform someone's outlook. Speaking words that recognize effort and progress fuels motivation and builds self-esteem. Avoiding the urge to impress means resisting the temptation to dominate conversations with stories about yourself or your achievements. Instead, focus on the other person's story, offering reflections or insights that add value. This attentiveness conveys respect and deepens the connection. Speaking to uplift also means practicing restraint. Sometimes, the most powerful way to support someone is through listening quietly, allowing them space to express themselves fully before offering your words. This patience amplifies the effectiveness of what you say. In moments of disagreement, aim to uplift by seeking understanding rather than victory. Express your perspective calmly and respectfully, acknowledging the validity of others' views. This approach turns conflict into dialogue and preserves relationships. Your tone and body language reinforce your uplifting intent. A gentle voice, steady eye contact, and open posture communicate warmth and openness. These nonverbal cues can often say more than words themselves. The habit of uplifting speech builds over time. Each positive interaction strengthens your ability to connect authentically and influence constructively. This consistency earns you a reputation as someone who uplifts others naturally and effortlessly. In professional settings, uplifting speech fosters teamwork and collaboration. Leaders who communicate with genuine care inspire loyalty and drive collective success. Colleagues feel valued and motivated, enhancing productivity and morale. In personal life, uplifting communication deepens intimacy and trust. Friends and family members feel safe sharing their true selves, knowing they will be met with kindness and encouragement. This environment nurtures growth and healing. Uplifting speech also invites reciprocity. When you lift others, they are more likely to lift you in return, creating a cycle of support and positivity that enriches your social and emotional life. This approach requires honesty, but never cruelty. It calls for speaking truth in a way that respects the dignity of others. Even difficult feedback can be delivered with kindness, ensuring it is constructive rather than destructive. Speaking to uplift means choosing words carefully, avoiding gossip, negativity, or unnecessary criticism. It's about building rather than breaking down, and creating rather than destroying. As you practice this, you'll notice a shift in how people respond to you. They will be drawn to your presence, valuing the space you create for authentic and positive exchanges. Your influence will grow quietly but powerfully. Remember, every conversation is an opportunity to uplift or to impress. Choosing the former is a decision that reflects wisdom, compassion, and strength. It aligns your speech with your highest values and cultivates a life rich in meaningful connections. Speaking to uplift changes not only those who hear you but also yourself. It nurtures patience, empathy, and generosity within your own heart. This internal transformation is the foundation of lasting personal growth. Through this practice, you become a beacon of encouragement in a world that often values noise over substance. Your words become tools of empowerment, offering light in dark moments and hope where despair might linger. In the end, speaking to uplift is about honoring the shared humanity between you and others. It acknowledges that every person carries struggles and dreams, and your words can help carry their load or brighten their path. Embrace the power of uplifting speech as a daily habit. Let it guide your conversations in every setting, knowing that each word chosen with care builds a stronger, kinder, and more connected world. Chapter 18. Train yourself to stay quiet in conflict. Conflict has a way of stirring emotions that often push us toward reaction rather than reflection. It is in those heated moments that the impulse to speak, defend, or attack grows strongest. Yet, training yourself to stay quiet during conflict is one of the most powerful and transformative skills you can develop. It requires discipline, patience, and deep self-awareness, but the rewards are profound: clarity, control, and the preservation of peace within and around you. Remaining silent when tensions rise is not a sign of weakness or surrender. On the contrary, it is an act of strength and wisdom. Choosing silence over impulsive words gives you space to understand the situation fully before responding. It halts the cycle of escalating hostility and allows emotions to settle, which leads to more thoughtful and constructive outcomes. Many people fall into the trap of feeling that they must immediately defend themselves or prove their point during conflict. This urgency often comes from fear of being misunderstood, dismissed, or harmed. Yet, responding hastily typically fuels the fire rather than quelling it. Silence can be your shield, protecting you from saying things you might regret and preserving your dignity. When you practice quietness amid disagreement, you give yourself time to process your emotions without letting them dictate your actions. This pause enables you to access a calmer, more rational part of your mind. It helps you avoid reacting out of anger, frustration, or hurt, and instead respond with intention and clarity. Choosing to stay quiet does not mean ignoring the problem or allowing injustice. Instead, it is about selecting the right moment and the right words to engage productively. The power of silence lies in its ability to disarm opponents, slow down heated exchanges, and create a space where understanding can emerge. Training yourself to remain quiet during conflict begins with self-discipline. It requires recognizing the triggers that prompt impulsive speech and learning to interrupt that automatic reaction. This might mean taking a deep breath, counting to 10, or physically removing yourself from the situation momentarily. Each pause strengthens your capacity to hold silence when it matters most. Silence also invites introspection. In those quiet moments, you can examine your feelings and motivations. Are you defending your ego, or are you genuinely seeking resolution? Are your words meant to heal or to wound? This self-questioning fosters emotional intelligence and prevents conflict from becoming personal battles. Moreover, staying quiet helps you listen deeply. In conflict, we often listen just enough to prepare our counter-arguments. Silence allows you to hear not only the words being spoken, but also the emotions behind them. This deeper listening builds empathy and opens the door to finding common ground. Practicing silence in conflict cultivates humility. It reminds you that you may not have all the answers and that every perspective holds value. This humility reduces the urge to dominate the conversation or insist on being right, which often escalates disputes. In addition to internal benefits, silence has external effects on how others perceive you. When you refrain from reacting emotionally, you project confidence and composure. Others may feel compelled to reconsider their stance or soften their tone when met with calmness instead of confrontation. Silence can also serve as a strategic tool. Sometimes, saying nothing is the most powerful statement. It signals that you are in control of yourself and the situation. It can diffuse aggression and encourage others to reflect rather than react. However, training yourself to be quiet in conflict does not mean suppressing your voice indefinitely. It means choosing when and how to speak with wisdom and purpose. When you do choose to engage verbally, your words carry greater weight because they are deliberate and measured. This approach encourages you to replace reactive speech with thoughtful expression. Before responding, consider what your ultimate goal is: to resolve the conflict, to be understood, or to protect your boundaries. Craft your message accordingly, focusing on clarity and respect. Developing this skill also requires practicing patience. Conflict often demands immediate responses, but real resolution takes time. Your silence can buy that time, allowing tensions to cool and enabling a more productive dialogue to unfold later. Another crucial aspect is managing your inner dialogue during moments of silence. Your mind may urge you to jump in or argue your case. Training involves quieting this inner chatter, staying grounded, and reminding yourself that silence is a choice that serves a higher purpose. This discipline grows stronger with regular practice, not just during conflicts but in everyday communication. The habit of pausing before speaking, reflecting on your words, and choosing silence when appropriate builds resilience and emotional control. It's important to acknowledge that staying quiet during conflict can be challenging and uncomfortable at first. Your instinct may be to fill the silence or assert yourself quickly. Yet, the discomfort is temporary and the benefits are long-lasting. In some cases, silence in conflict can inspire curiosity in others. When you don't respond immediately, people often feel prompted to explain themselves more fully or rethink their approach. This shift can turn a hostile exchange into a meaningful conversation. Training yourself to remain quiet also protects your mental and emotional health. Engaging in heated arguments drains energy and increases stress. Silence allows you to conserve your strength and approach the situation with renewed clarity. Additionally, silence can serve as a boundary. It lets others know that you will not engage in destructive or disrespectful communication. This boundary fosters respect and signals that productive dialogue requires calmness and mutual regard. In relationships, mastering silence during conflicts can transform interactions. It prevents escalation and promotes understanding, helping to preserve trust and affection even when disagreements arise. In professional environments, This skill enhances leadership. Leaders who can remain silent and composed under pressure inspire confidence and set the tone for respectful communication. They are better equipped to navigate crises and foster collaboration. Training yourself to stay quiet in conflict involves developing several habits. First, cultivate awareness of your emotional state and physical reactions during disagreements. Notice when you feel the urge to speak impulsively and practice stepping back mentally. Second, develop breathing techniques to calm your nervous system. Deep, slow breaths can reduce anxiety and increase your ability to hold silence. Third, practice mindfulness or meditation regularly. These practices strengthen your capacity to observe thoughts without reacting immediately, making silence more natural in stressful moments. Fourth, role-play conflict scenarios to prepare yourself. Imagine situations that typically trigger you and rehearse responding with silence or measured speech. This preparation builds confidence and reduces reactivity. Fifth, remind yourself of the long-term benefits of silence. Keeping your cool preserves relationships, protects your reputation, and supports your mental well-being. Finally, seek feedback from trusted individuals about how you handle conflict. Their insights can help you identify patterns and areas for improvement in your communication style. Over time, training yourself to stay quiet in conflict reshapes your identity. You become someone known for wisdom, restraint, and calmness. This reputation not only earns respect but also attracts more peaceful and respectful interactions. This practice also fosters inner peace. When you no longer feel compelled to react immediately, you gain mastery over your emotions rather than being mastered by them. This freedom enhances your overall quality of life. Staying quiet in conflict is not about avoidance, but about choosing the most effective response. It empowers you to engage thoughtfully and assertively when the time is right, making your words more impactful and your presence more grounded. In the moments when you finally speak, your voice carries authority because it is backed by calm and clarity. Others listen more attentively, knowing your words are deliberate and meaningful. The discipline of silence during conflict aligns with the understanding that sometimes the greatest power lies in restraint. It teaches patience and fosters deeper insight, which are invaluable in navigating life's inevitable challenges. By mastering this skill, you transform conflict from a battlefield into an opportunity for growth and connection. Silence becomes a tool for healing, understanding, and lasting resolution. This journey requires commitment but promises profound rewards. Each time you choose silence over reaction, you strengthen your capacity for peace, wisdom, and resilience, building a foundation for a life marked by grace and strength. Chapter 19. Let your actions speak louder than explanations. There is an undeniable power in the language of actions. When words become abundant and explanations flood the space between people, clarity often fades and trust diminishes. Actions cut through noise in ways that words rarely do. When you let your deeds speak louder than explanations, you embrace a level of authenticity and integrity that others cannot ignore. At the heart of this principle lies a simple truth. What you do reveals who you are far more than what you say. Actions are the visible proof of your intentions, values, and commitments. They do not require justification or defense. Instead, they invite recognition and build credibility. When you rely on actions rather than explanations, you communicate with a clarity that words alone cannot match. Too often, people fall into the habit of over-explaining. They feel compelled to justify their decisions, defend their character, or convince others of their worth through elaborate reasoning. This tendency not only drains energy, but also creates doubt and confusion. Over-explanation signals insecurity, as if your actions alone are insufficient to convey your message. It suggests a lack of confidence in the impact of what you do. By contrast, when you focus on acting decisively and consistently, you send a powerful message of self-assurance. Your reliability becomes your reputation. Others come to understand you through your patterns of behavior rather than your excuses or justifications. This form of communication transcends language and touches a deeper level of human connection. Actions have a way of revealing truth that words sometimes obscure. Words can be manipulated, misunderstood, or forgotten. Actions leave tangible traces. They build a legacy. They demonstrate your priorities and the reality of your commitments. When there is alignment between your words and your deeds, your integrity shines. But when they diverge, actions expose the inconsistencies and reveal your true character. Choosing to let actions speak louder means investing in your own authenticity. It requires you to show up fully, to embody your values without hesitation or pretense. This can be challenging because it demands accountability and courage. It means being willing to let your work and behavior stand as your explanation, even when questioned or challenged. Living by this principle also demands patience. Results and impact do not always materialize immediately. Sometimes, your actions are slow to be recognized or appreciated. Yet by maintaining your course and consistently demonstrating your values through behavior, you build a foundation that time cannot undermine. It is tempting to fall into the trap of constantly defending yourself or clarifying your intentions to others. Social media, instant communication, and the culture of constant explanation feed this impulse. But in reality, actions that are genuine and aligned require no constant commentary. They are self-evident. Your actions become a form of silent persuasion. They invite observation rather than argument. People watch what you do and draw their own conclusions. When you trust in this process, you free yourself from the exhausting need to control every narrative or perception. This approach fosters deep respect. Others admire people who are dependable and consistent more than those who are eloquent but unreliable. The weight of your commitments and follow-through holds more sway than the charm of your explanations. Letting actions speak louder also means being mindful of the promises you make. Every commitment you take on is a contract between your words and future actions. When you deliver on those promises, you reinforce your credibility. When you do not, words become empty and damage trust. This calls for a shift in focus from verbal assurance to tangible results. It is a call to act with intention and follow through with discipline. Your energy is better spent on doing the work than on crafting elaborate defenses or apologies. At times, people around you may still demand explanations or question your motives. In these moments, it is important to remember that your priority is to remain true to your course. Explanations can become distractions that dilute your focus and undermine your authority. Instead of engaging in extended conversations to justify your actions, let your continued efforts provide clarity. Over time, this steadfastness builds a powerful narrative of reliability and trustworthiness. Living this way improves your internal relationship with yourself as well. You learn to trust your own judgment and integrity. You stop seeking external validation and find confidence in your consistent commitment to action. This mindset encourages humility too. It recognizes that words are limited, but the impact of meaningful action is boundless. It invites you to be a doer rather than just a talker, to invest your energy in building rather than defending. When you apply this in relationships, professional settings, or personal goals, you create a culture of accountability. People know they can count on you because you deliver results rather than excuses. This reliability fosters collaboration and deepens trust. It also protects you from misunderstandings. When your actions are clear and consistent, there is less room for doubt or misinterpretation. Your behavior speaks with a clarity that words alone often fail to achieve. This principle extends beyond personal conduct to how you manage your time and priorities. Focusing on meaningful actions over explanations helps you avoid distractions and maintain discipline. It encourages efficiency and purpose. Choosing action over excessive explanation is also a practice in emotional intelligence. It reflects an understanding of when to speak and when to act. It helps you navigate social dynamics with grace and respect. Furthermore, this approach shields you from unnecessary conflict. When you demonstrate your intentions through your behavior, there is less need for debate or argument. Actions provide a foundation for mutual understanding and respect. This way of living is empowering. It shifts control back to you, emphasizing what you can do rather than what you must say. It cultivates resilience by grounding your identity in tangible efforts rather than fragile words. The impact of letting your actions speak louder resonates in the long term. It shapes your legacy. People remember what you did far more than what you said. Your deeds become the story that defines you. To cultivate this skill, begin by reflecting on how much time and energy you spend explaining yourself versus taking meaningful steps forward. Notice where you might be using words as a substitute for action. Next, set clear intentions about what you want to achieve. Then focus on consistent behaviors that align with those goals. Celebrate progress and stay committed even when immediate results are not visible. Be mindful of situations where you feel compelled to over-explain. Pause and ask yourself if your actions could communicate more effectively than your words. Challenge yourself to resist the urge to justify unnecessarily. Build habits that reinforce this mindset. Prioritize follow-through in all aspects of life. Let your commitments guide your daily choices. When you falter, acknowledge it and recommit without excessive verbal explanation. Remember that your presence and demeanor are part of your actions too. How you carry yourself, your attentiveness, and your willingness to engage meaningfully all contribute to the message you send. Surround yourself with people who value integrity and action. Their support will encourage you to stay on this path and resist the temptation to defend or explain excessively. This principle also aligns with living authentically. When your actions are true reflections of your values and beliefs, you need little explanation. Authenticity speaks clearly and resonates deeply. In essence, letting your actions speak louder than explanations is a call to embody your truth through doing rather than talking. It is a commitment to demonstrate rather than declare. This way of living enhances your influence and builds trust that withstands challenges. It invites others to witness your journey and inspires them through example rather than persuasion. By focusing on what you do rather than what you say, you harness a powerful form of communication that is clear, direct, and compelling. It creates a solid foundation for meaningful relationships, personal growth, and lasting impact. Each time you choose to act decisively and follow through on your commitments without feeling the need to over-explain, you strengthen your character and deepen the respect others have for you. This approach liberates you from the exhausting cycle of justification and approval seeking. It centers you in your own power and integrity. Ultimately, your actions are the most honest reflection of who you are. They tell your story in ways words never could. When you live by this truth, you build a life defined by meaning, respect, and trust. Chapter 20. Master restraint to gain power over your speech. Mastering restraint in your speech is a fundamental skill that shapes the way others perceive your presence and influence. It is a quiet power, often underestimated, yet it controls the dynamics of communication and interpersonal connection in profound ways. When you learn to hold back unnecessary words, you create space for thoughtful expression, for meaning to settle, and for your true intentions to shine without distraction. The ability to practice restraint begins with self-awareness. Before you speak, becoming conscious of your impulse to fill silence or react immediately provides an opportunity to choose your words deliberately. This pause, though brief, allows your mind to sift through your thoughts and emotions, filtering what truly needs to be said from what is noise. In this way, restraint is not silence born from fear, but silence rooted in wisdom and control. Speech often serves many functions: to inform, to persuade, to comfort, to express anger, or to impress. However, without restraint, speech can become impulsive and scatter meaning, making it less effective. Mastery over your words means recognizing that not every thought must become a spoken word. Some ideas are better held in reserve or expressed later with greater clarity and impact. When restraint guides your speech, each word carries weight. This power comes not from volume or frequency, but from precision and timing. People listen more attentively when you speak with intention and brevity. Your words then command respect, inviting reflection rather than immediate dismissal or overload. Practicing restraint also protects you from the pitfalls of emotional reactivity. In heated moments, the urge to respond immediately can lead to regret. By holding back, you create a buffer that enables reason to surface. This buffer allows you to engage with greater composure, preventing unnecessary conflicts and misunderstandings. This mastery is not about repression or withholding essential truths. Instead, it is about discerning when and how to express yourself in ways that serve your goals and relationships best. It is a discipline that requires patience and courage, patience to delay gratification of speaking, and courage to trust that your silence or fewer words will not diminish your presence. The journey toward mastering restraint involves reshaping habits. Many people default to filling conversations with chatter or reacting quickly to stimuli. Changing this pattern means practicing active listening, where the focus is on understanding others rather than immediately adding your voice. It requires embracing the power of quiet moments and the strength found in holding your ground without a barrage of words. Restraint sharpens your emotional intelligence. It teaches you to gauge the atmosphere and adapt your speech accordingly. Sometimes, saying less fosters trust and openness, creating an inviting space where others feel heard. In contrast, speaking excessively or without control can overwhelm or alienate listeners. Moreover, restraint amplifies your credibility. When your words are measured and purposeful, they become more believable and persuasive. People are more likely to take your statements seriously if they sense thoughtfulness behind them. This credibility builds over time, reinforcing your authority and leadership. In practical terms, mastering restraint involves internal checks before you speak. Ask yourself, is what I am about to say necessary? Will it add value? Am I speaking to contribute or to react? These questions slow down impulsive responses and align your communication with your intentions. Silence, in this context, is not emptiness but a tool. It creates space for ideas to breathe and for others to contribute. It signals confidence and control, demonstrating that you are not desperate for attention or validation. In conversations, Pauses can emphasize key points and invite reflection. This power of restraint extends beyond everyday talk to how you manage conflict and negotiation. In tense exchanges, holding back inflammatory remarks and choosing words with care can de-escalate situations. It also allows you to observe and understand the other party better, informing your responses strategically. Restraint in speech cultivates humility. It acknowledges that you do not need to dominate every conversation or prove your point with volume. Instead, it values the quality of interaction over quantity. This humility strengthens relationships by fostering mutual respect and patience. This skill is especially valuable in leadership and influence. Leaders who master restraint communicate confidence and clarity, inspiring trust rather than resistance. Their words resonate because they are rare, meaningful, and aligned with their actions. Developing restraint also improves your self-discipline. It requires you to manage impulses and prioritize long-term benefits over immediate gratification. This discipline spills over into other areas of life, reinforcing habits that support success and personal growth. Mastery over speech comes with an understanding of timing. Sometimes, saying nothing or postponing a response is the wisest choice. This patience can transform situations, allowing emotions to settle and perspectives to shift before dialogue resumes. You can cultivate this timing by practicing mindfulness. Becoming aware of your mental and emotional state before speaking allows you to respond with clarity rather than reaction. Mindfulness also enhances your ability to listen deeply, which naturally tempers your urge to interrupt or speak unnecessarily. This balance between speaking and silence fosters authenticity. When you choose your words carefully, you express your true self more clearly. People sense this authenticity and connect with it, deepening trust and openness. Furthermore, mastering restraint guards against misunderstandings. In an era of rapid communication, hastily spoken words often cause damage that careful speech would prevent. By slowing down and thinking before you talk, you reduce the chance of misinterpretation or conflict. To strengthen this skill, consider setting personal goals related to communication. Challenge yourself to speak less in meetings or social situations, focusing instead on listening and reflecting. Over time, this practice rewires your habits and strengthens your ability to hold back when necessary. Another effective method is to practice deliberate pauses during conversations. Before responding, count silently to 3. This simple act creates space for more thoughtful and measured replies, enhancing the quality of interaction. In moments of emotional intensity, try writing down your thoughts before speaking. This step helps organize your ideas and cool emotional heat, allowing you to choose words that communicate effectively without causing harm. Restraint in speech also means avoiding gossip, idle complaints, or negative talk. These forms of communication waste energy and often create division. By choosing silence or constructive dialogue instead, you preserve your influence and respect. Cultivating an environment that honors thoughtful speech supports your growth. Surround yourself with people who value listening and measured communication. Their example will encourage you to maintain your commitment to restraint. This principle is not about withdrawing or being passive. It is about engaging with presence and purpose. When you speak, your voice carries the weight of your self-control and integrity, making your message more impactful. Ultimately, mastering restraint over your speech is a lifelong practice. It deepens your self-awareness, enhances your relationships, and empowers you to navigate complex social dynamics with grace. The power you gain is subtle but undeniable, transforming how you influence the world around you. By choosing to speak less and mean more, you align your communication with your highest values and goals. This alignment creates a powerful foundation for personal strength, respect, and lasting impact. Your mastery over your speech becomes a reflection of your mastery over yourself.